Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Woodstock City Council, December 11th, 2025. This hybrid meeting is being held in person here in council chambers and electronically in accordance with section 238, subsection 3.3 of the Municipal Act and section 16.6.24 of the City of Woodstock Procedure Bylaw. This meeting is being live streamed to the city's YouTube channel, and a recording will be posted on the city's website following the meeting. An agenda of the meeting can be found on the agendas, meetings, and minutes page of the city's website. We did have a closed session this evening, started at 6:30, that ended at 6:40. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I, Councillor Wismer Van Meer, declare the following potential deemed direct pecuniary interest item, agenda items 8.A and 15.A. The subject matter is the Mayor's Task Force 2025 funding request. And the general nature of the interest is that I am an employee of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Oxford County.
Thank you. Councillor Leatherborough.
I, Councillor Kate Leatherbarrow, declare the following potential direct pecuniary interests. Agenda item number 14A4, subject matter adoption of 2026 capital budget and 2027 through to 2030 capital forecast. Suggested motion number 6, downtown revitalization phase 4. General nature of the interest is I operate a business in phase 4 of the Streetscape Master Plan.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Tate.
I, Councillor G. Tate, declare the following potential indirect pecuniary interest. Agenda item number 14A4, subject matter adoption of 2026 capital budget and 2027-2030 capital forecast. Suggested motion 11, downtown revitalization phase 5. I have an indirect conflict as my employer has an office adjacent to phase 5 of the Streetscape project.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Any disclosure of new business? Any matters arising from the minutes? That brings us to the minutes. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Schadenberg, that the minutes of the regular meeting of Woodstock City Council held on November 20th, 2025, and the minutes of the special capital budget meeting held on November 25th, 2025 be adopted.
Any questions or concerns with that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Next up, additions to the agenda. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Tate, that the following items be added to the agenda. Delegation item 8.C, Lisa Odorico, Woodstock Public Swimmers Club, outdoor pool motion, capital budget request.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns with that? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, that's carried. No presentations, but we do have some delegations tonight, and we're going to start off with 8A. I'd like to welcome Erica Hughes to the podium, and I believe Nicole Claire is going to be joining us virtually. Yep. Hello. This is for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Oxford County Mayor's Task Force request. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and councillors. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Erica Hughes, and I'm the Volunteer Recruitment and Engagement Coordinator with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Oxford County. Really long title. I also have joining me virtually Nicole Claire. She's the Resource Development Manager with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Oxford County as well. We are here regarding our Woodstock Youth Leaders in Action proposal, requesting $30,000 to expand our youth leadership mentoring program, or the teen literacy program, to all 4 Woodstock high schools. Right now, we are able to support youth leaders at just one Woodstock high school, WCI, through a provincial grant. Students at the other 3 high schools in Woodstock have already reached out to ask how they can also be involved. The interest is there. The only barrier is capacity and funding. The need we're addressing is pretty straightforward. Many Woodstock students don't see themselves in traditional leadership roles like student council or on competitive sports teams. But at the same time, schools are seeing increased concerns about youth's mental health, isolation, and disengagement from school. This program creates a supported school-based leadership opportunity for those teens that are often sort of left in the margins. Youth who are bright and caring, but who might not, put up their hand for a typical leadership role. Through this initiative, we recruit, we train, and we coach high school students as youth leaders and match them with younger students in nearby elementary schools, supporting two youths in the process. Teens meet weekly with their mentees, helping with learning activities, leading games and projects, and building school skills and confidence, all with an on-site support of our Big Brothers Big Sisters mentoring coordinator. And I'll leave that to Nicole now.
Thank you, Erica. As Erica mentioned earlier, my name is Nicole Calaire, and I am the Fund Development Manager with Big Brothers Big Sisters. I would like to briefly highlight the investment that you're being asked to consider through the task force. The $30,000 request is focused on staffing and program delivery at the additional Woodstock high schools. This allows us to engage an additional 24 to 30 Woodstock teens each year as youth leaders and connect them with young students in Woodstock elementary schools. This is not a new, untested concept. We are already running this model successfully in one Woodstock high school and in other communities across Oxford County. We have early data and strong feedback from teens, parents, and school staff that are showing an increase in confidence, communication, responsibility, and school engagement for the youth leaders, as well as positive impact on the young children in the programs. Big Brothers Big Sisters brings the screening, training, program structure, and ongoing supervision. That takes pressure off of school staff and helps add a specialized youth mentoring resource that schools do not have the capacity to run on their own. From a funding perspective, this is a targeted, preventative investment for the city. It keeps teens connected to schools and caring adults. It builds skills for future employment and education. And it strengthens Woodstock's social fabric by nurturing young people who feel responsible and connected to their communities. Support from the Mayor's Task Force and Council would also help us leverage additional funding from foundations, corporate partners, and individual donors. Municipal investment is a strong signal to other funders that this is a priority for the city. In closing, this proposal is ready to implement. It directly aligns with the task force goal of improving community and social well-being for youth, and it responds to teens who are already asking for this opportunity. We appreciate the task force support on this request, and we thank Council for your time and consideration this evening.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you both very much. Any questions of either delegate? Councillor Merton.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. Just a really quick question. I'm curious if you've connected with Southwestern Public Health at all, because they run a similar but different program. Specifically, most of their work is with grade 6, 7, 8s. And I'm curious if, so it's public health nurses working right in the schools, identifying youth who are marginalized, who are at risk of substance use and abuse, and a number of other things. But I'm curious if you collaborate or even just had conversations with them, if it might help in early identification of students and youth who might already be identified as needing support, and therefore a channel right into the work that you're doing. So I'm just wondering if you've had early conversations or if you're willing to explore that.
I think we would be definitely willing to explore it. I'm not 100% sure of any of the background work that went in before I started recruiting for the teen literacy program with WCI, but I think that that's a good opportunity. Like knowledge is power, the way I look at it. So if we could, pick their ear a little bit about what they have to say and, learn from them as well, that would be really great. But you're right, maybe having like that funnel of students to kind of say, hey, these are really great students. I will say the guidance counselors have been really helpful in that manner as well. They've been my biggest resource going into WCI and the most helpful. So I will definitely speak to them and see if they could even coordinate that, because it sounds like something that they would be interested in learning about too from
Yeah.
their perspective.
Yeah, happy to connect you with some of the resources, even if you just Google vital perspectives.
Vital
Yeah,
perspectives.
and belonging in schools.
Okay,
So,
thank you so much.
Thank you for that. Anyone else? I just want to say thank you for bringing this forward. Big supporter of any kind of fostering leadership roles, mentoring, certainly building confidence and through mental health concerns that I see with youth. Any help is certainly worthwhile. And as far as the task force is concerned, it's no secret. We identified 3 priorities and youth is one of them. And this fits right in there, and happy to support this. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next up, I'd like to welcome Sean Baker to the podium. I got a point. Wasn't sure who was going to speak to this. This is for coldest night of the year. And of course, Scott McKeag is coming up. So perfect. Welcome.
Thanks so much, guys. First wanted to talk a little bit about what we're here for today. The task force plans for solutions on housing, homelessness, mental health, addiction, etc. And Coldest Night of the Year supplies mental health. Oh, this is flopping all the place. Yeah, it'll get there.
Stress you out.
Yes, it is a little bit. It'll get there, I swear. There we go. The Coldest Night of the Year is a moment where tens of thousands of Canadians step across the entire country. Ooh, there it goes again. Wait up. Okay, this is where I should have my phone. Yeah. Okay. Try this one more time. And anyway, together we're collecting donations that fund critical services for Operation Sharing here in Woodstock. Scott did such an incredible job for the last 5 years running this program and really growing it, where Woodstock became a top 10 nationwide champion. Funding stays directly in Woodstock for us, right at Operation Sharing. I came together with Dale Flynn to take on the role, as Scott did such a great job that he has been plucked and is now working with Blue Sea, which left Operation Sharing looking for someone to jump in. So Dale Flynn Jr. and myself have taken on this challenge and rallied around. Our goal today is to secure funding. We look for leaders in the community, and what better place to start? Our goal is not only to drive sponsorship through our community leaders, but our teams and individuals. My challenge to everyone here is to join. Be a part of it. It is an incredible day. It will fill your bucket of joy, and you get to see the community at work. We are expecting 500 walkers this year. That's up about 150 from last. Well, let's try to look at this again. I want to talk a little bit about what the last 5 years has looked like for Operation Sharing and the funding that comes in from this event. $750,000 directly to Woodstock. Thank you, Scott. The things that we're looking for to funding, $5,000 is the ask, and those will go for all of the programs that we run. We have day spaces, shelter expansions, staffing, security, life-saving measures, and we're expanding the programs as the needs of Woodstock change. Next slide. So last year we had over 400 participants, and teams donate approximately about $2,000 a team. So it's become a great big idea to make sure that we have every individual that is a leader in Woodstock joining a team and running a team and becoming a cheerleader here in our great city. I want to thank everybody for their contribution because you guys are all the leaders of Woodstock. And so I challenge you all to Joel. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Tate.
Through the chair, what is the date?
February 28th.
I think that's really important
That
for
is
everybody.
very
to know.
important. Sure.
I'd like to thank you for coming forward, coming out in front of the community. I've always said Oxford County and Woodstock is a very generous community, so very proud to hear that we're in the top 10. That's fantastic. So I hope you reach the 500. And I just have a comment from one of my fellow counselors, Wismer Van Meer. If you go in it again, let us all know. So everybody that doesn't go in it contributes, because I go through and I see who is in, so then I donate to that. But I got hers at the last minute. But I think even if you can't go, look at the teams, donate, right?
Absolutely.
Counselor Sandberg.
Yeah, along that same line, a question for the delegation. Just want to let you know that today I was online registering for the Lions Club of Woodstock team. And I noticed one of the gentlemen in that picture, Dave Mayer from the Interkip Lions Club. Boy, you talk about a superstar and raising money. And then it goes to show you that if you put together a team, you can raise a lot of money for a very, very important local cause. And I know the one thing you didn't mention was your website, so I might throw that one in. So I'm assuming that's for English because of bilingual Canada, en.cnoy.org/location/Woodstock. And you can register yourself right now to be one of the, as you said, 500 participants. Are you going to put together some sort of an ask for the city of Woodstock, especially the Works Department, as far as assisting with sidewalk cleaning and some things along your truck route?
Oh, yeah. So last year was the first year we actually had to deal with the sidewalk issue. And I was able to speak to a few people who could make things happen, and we got those all cleared off in time for the walk. So it was a fantastic day, but we never know what to expect, obviously weather-wise. This may be the coldest night of the year today, for all we know. I don't know, but we'll find out. We'll play it by ear.
And again, your headquarters is College Avenue Secondary School. That hasn't changed from last year?
That's right. The start, finish line and route is going to remain the same. So it's from College Ave up to Dundas, down to Museum Square, back to Starbucks, back up and back to the school again for a meal afterwards.
And it's a delicious meal. Counselor Martin.
I just want to make sure I heard that right. To the church, not the school, right? Isn't it started
Yeah.
started the school this year? Okay.
Yeah, we did that last year. We had to make that move because the crowd got so large, we couldn't fit it into Operation Sharing's building anymore. So we had to move to the high school.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And what start time? 5 o'clock?
4 o'clock
4 o'clock.
to assemble and check in, 5 o'clock for the walk.
I think we should put in a team, council.
Well, I've just gonna announce that I've always been a part of Scott's team. So we are registering a team as ourselves. If there's interest from counselors, I was gonna throw the challenge out tonight, actually. So thank you for mentioning that, Counselor Martin. As now that Scott is no longer guaranteed to be there this year because of his new role, a little more difficult. Counselor Leatherborough.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you for the delegation, and just wanted to take a minute to say that I've had the privilege of working with Scott and volunteering with Scott, and just what a trailblazer you are. So I thank you for all that you've done over the last few years and continue to do. But it's just been really incredible to watch this come to be in our community and how critical it is for Operation Sharing. So did not want to miss the opportunity to sing your praises publicly, which I know you love. So thank you, Scott.
I'm surprised he's standing up here with us. He does not like even to speak during the event. Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Just a comment through you, Your Worship. Great job every year, Scott. Congratulations on everything you do. And I know, Sean, that you're a workhorse as well. So I know it will only be another great event. I've been participating for a few years now. I will say to my fellow counselors that I often walk with Big Brothers Big Sisters, as we like to support our local community partners as well. But I would assume that you probably need volunteers as well. The folks that are out there holding those signs, encouraging people, rooting them along, I don't know how they do that because it's usually freezing cold and they're out there with so much excitement. But are you still needing volunteers? If you do, where do folks find more information about that to help out with the event?
Thanks for that. So there's a volunteer portal on the same website where you sign up a team. However, it's not open to the public just yet. That will be in the new year, but there's a portal there to sign up. And it's the same website, just instead of /location Woodstock, it's /volunteer. But I'm sure you'll be getting an email from Sean or myself or Dale between now and then. So yeah, multiple.
Counselor Lauder.
Thank you. This is just a comment too. I'm very interested in the volunteer bet. I don't know if I want to walk out in the cold, but then again, when she's saying it's so cold standing there, I don't know which is best. But anyhow, thank you for your presentation, and I look forward to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, again, I want to thank you first, Scott. I know it's been quite a few years to get this off the ground and being the champion that you've made Woodstock appear nationally. And I know that's 98% of your leadership effort. So thank you. And Sean and Dale as well for taking on the role. Again, it's a huge role. Any way we can help. I think we've proven over the years that we've got city support on this if needed. We'll, as always, give Public Works a heads up for the day of if needed, depending on weather. And we'll certainly help out any way we can.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before I call up the next delegation, I just want council to know, I plan on asking to pull ahead 15A if they want to stick around for a few minutes instead of we got a big agenda tonight. So I'm not going to make you wait all night if that's okay with everybody here. Next up, we do have Lisa Odorico. Welcome, Woodstock Public Swimmers Club. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, councilors, staff, and observers. My name is Lisa Odorico. I'm a lifelong resident of Woodstock and a member of the Woodstock Public Swimmers Club. I appreciate the opportunity to speak here tonight on why Woodstock needs to add an outdoor pool to the budget. Woodstock is one of Ontario's fastest growing communities, and while it continues to grow, our aquatics facilities are not keeping up with that growth. In August of 2024, we presented to council data that highlighted the lack of aquatic facilities compared to similar sized communities. We also submitted a petition of over 1,300 signatures from residents who felt strongly about the need for Woodstock to have an outdoor aquatic facility. To recap how we got here, at the July 13th, 2023 City Council meeting, Council voted for a brand new outdoor pool to be built here in Woodstock. The community was excited and relieved that Woodstock would continue to have access to an outdoor pool. That changed at the March 21st, 2024 Council meeting when a motion to reconsider the outdoor pool was proposed and subsequently canceled. The reason ultimately being reprioritization of city funds. Many residents were shocked and also unaware that canceling of the pool was even a possibility until it happened. 3 reasons why we need an outdoor pool. Number 1, safety. Learning to swim is an essential skill that can save lives. The importance of that should not be forgotten, especially in a community where we have parks and recreation areas near several bodies of water. It's been proven time and again, when formal swimming lessons are taken, the risk of drowning is reduced. Increasing capacity for swimming lessons provides more children in our community with these essential skills. Reason 2, accessibility and affordability for all. Having a new outdoor pool that has accessibility features would benefit many people of all abilities in our community. Simply having an outdoor pool, being outside, provides access to those who may not be able to tolerate an indoor water facility. Loud, echoing noises, being in a confined space, they're just a few of the factors that make using an indoor pool impossible for some. Not everyone has the ability to be able to drive 25 to 30 minutes out of town to get to an outdoor pool or a lake that's safe to swim in. This includes families, children, seniors, anyone who doesn't drive. All currently have no access to an outdoor swimming facility. An outdoor pool is also an affordable option for summer activities when many cannot afford the cost or the time to travel outside of the community. And reason number 3, a healthy and active community. We all know the benefits of getting outside, not only the physical benefits, the mental health benefits as well. An outdoor pool would make this viable for many residents seeking swimming opportunities of all ages and all abilities. Let's not ignore that an outdoor pool promotes community by providing a place for all residents and all abilities to come together. More aquatic space would provide more opportunities for physical fitness, swimming lessons, lane swims, leisure swims, family swims, evening swims, especially on those hot summer nights. Aquafit, aqua yoga, having a competitive swim team once again. I could go on. There are so many possibilities of what we could have if we had additional space. Thinking back to the day this council voted for a brand new outdoor pool, some comments really resonated with me. Councillor Leatherborough spoke about the tourism benefits, how it could attract more people to Woodstock, having visitors stay, dine, and play here. Councillor Martin shared that it was an opportunity for Woodstock as we grow for more people to be able to access water and learn to swim programs, which will be a long-term benefit to our community. Councillor Wismer Van Meer inquired about possible sponsorship opportunities. And we learned that the city staff has people who actually look at these sponsorship opportunities for possible naming rights. That should not be forgotten as well. Mayor, you shared that you decided to support the motion after seeing what could be. And when that vote passed, you shared that a lot of people are going to benefit from a new pool. Being one of the fastest growing communities in Ontario means we should not put this off for years into the future. An outdoor pool would be a cost-efficient way to increase access to aquatics in Woodstock that could be completed in a relatively short timeline. I do believe council sees the value in an outdoor pool. If you didn't, you would never have voted for one in 2023. If cost is the obstacle, then I would suggest that council direct staff to explore sponsorship opportunities, federal and provincial grants, and consider possible fundraising initiatives. I urge this council to have the courage to finally give aquatics in Woodstock some long overdue attention and strive to provide an outdoor pool that is not only needed now, but will benefit future generations. I want to thank Councillor Tate for keeping this in our minds and bringing it to this evening. And I'd also like to thank you tonight for your time. I will entertain any questions or comments.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions, Ms. Oderico? Councillor Schanberg.
Yeah, question to the delegate through the mayor. Over time, this swimmers club has started really through social media and whatnot, but it's grown beyond that. Give me some of the ideas, some of the comments people are sort of saying from the club, because it's still very active on social media to sort of drum up grassroots support for an outdoor in-ground pool.
For sure. So it started grassroots, social media, but also neighbors. Talking to my neighbor that lives right beside me, you know, what happened to the pool? What are we going to do? What's going on? We continue to see comments and hear comments from people, including members of our club, who try to access swimming lessons in the summertime, especially for their children. Many of the popular times are waitlisted very quickly. Sure, there is space, but it's important to note the timing of that space. The space is often after hours at 7 o'clock. That's not conducive for young families. We're looking at bedtime. We're still hearing people saying, how come we don't have a pool outside? What happened to that? It wasn't known. So we have been trying to continue to keep aquatics, an outdoor pool, any improvement to aquatics at the forefront so that it's not forgotten.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Lauder.
I just wanted to thank you for coming forward regarding this. And I get lots of questions about what happened to the pool, both with for young people and for older people. So thank you for keeping this up and see where it goes from here. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you very much, Mayor Accioni. I almost called you counselor because we said that so many times yesterday. I apologize. Thanks for coming, Lisa.
Thank you.
And thanks for quoting us. Thanks for taking us back to that meeting where we had that very fulsome discussion. And what you said that I said sounds exactly like what I would have said. So I know that you went back and watched that meeting and got the words verbatim. What I also said at that meeting, and what we were presented, if I recall at that meeting, was a new indoor pool or retrofitting the existing indoor pool. And I remember saying at that time, if I had it my way, I would love to see a bigger vision, a long-term vision for an indoor pool, but that wasn't what was put in front of us that date, at that date. So I appreciate that you've attributed the comments to us, but there were other mindsets at play during that meeting. And I did say at that session that that more people would be able to access water, but what we learned subsequently from our staff that we are highly skilled and work in this environment every day, that that we have enough water for Learn to Swim programs. So I just wanted to highlight that some of the information we learned after that initial meeting was a part of the decision-making process.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments to the delegate? All right, thank you.
Great, thank you.
For tonight. No, sorry, you're not a delegate. You have to register ahead of time. I'm sorry. So no resolution is required as this delegation refers to department report item 14A4. And I have to apologize, speaking to the previous delegations, I should have said that as well. I kind of said it, but those not following along, no resolution was required as their delegation refers to special committee and advisory task force reports item 15A. Sorry, to the clerk. So what I would suggest, as mentioned, is if there's no opposition to bring forward the request from to the mayor's task force, so 15A, since we've got quite a budget item in between. Any objections? Seeing none? Okay, thank you. Looking for a motion? Councillor Tate?
I'll move that Woodstock City Council approves the following allocation of funds from the Community and Social Wellbeing Reserve Fund, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Oxford County, Woodstock Youth Leaders in Action 30,000, Coldest Night of the Year 2026 Campaign Partner 5,000, and Woodstock Transit Passes for Heart Hub clients $1,000, and further that City Council authorize remaining account balance from the Community and Social Wellbeing Reserve to be carried over to 2026.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Leatherborough. Discussion, Councillor Tate.
Yeah, I just want to thank the committee. They're all very, anything that comes forward is they're in need. Big support of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Oxford County. I think this is something, I think it's getting harder and harder to get volunteers. So really to see that they came forward and that it was allocated for this. So just thanks for the work. Thanks that they came forward, and happy to support it.
This mic. Councillor Schattenberg.
Question either to you, Worship Gioni, or to Finance. How much money is currently left in the account for 2025? Because Councillor Tate had mentioned that whatever's left over could go into a carryover for 2026.
Yes, if all is approved, that's requested tonight would be $9,000 carried over to next year. Okay. Councillor Leatherborough.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just to kind of wrap up this final year, I think it's been a very successful year. Councillor Tate mentioned those groups that come forward are definitely in need, but just to highlight that the direction to shift towards youth, I think we've had huge success. Highlighting within the report, obviously the Recreation Department, 30,000 for the youth excursions and Friday night youth nights pilot program. Councillor Wismer Van Meer and I also sit on the Youth Advisory Committee, and it's just been great to get that feedback of how successful that's been. So all of these initiatives are terrific, but I did want to highlight really that there is a youth focus and a food insecurity focus, and that although it's tough in our community, these are positive things that are coming to be within our community as well.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Anyone else? Councillor Martin.
Yeah, just a quick comment that, of course, these are monies that come, it's not levy money. We're not taxing people to do this. It's from the OLG slots, which is a great way to make use of those kind of funds. So that organizations are coming forward with very well thought out presentations, I think speaks to the intention that people that are working with youth, vulnerable people like our homeless community, the Heart Hub, $1,000 for transit tickets to allow people to get to that facility, to me, is a very well thought out way of breaking down some of the barriers that we're seeing in our community. So fully supportive of this, and the work that goes into this. When the mayor's task force and the social well-being task force was first created in 23, I think, there were a lot of unknowns. What would this look like? And I think that this has kind of been fine-tuned to these priorities, really speaks to, again, that vision and the intention to really make a difference in our community. So those of you sit on that committee, and for you, Mayor Accioni, for leading that, I think where it started in 23 and to where it is now is significant difference.
Thank you for that. Yes, to my fellow councilors that sit on that committee, we do. Normally, for the public as well, what would happen is a request would come through and go through the mayor's task force for social well-being. We would talk about it with our community partners, all in one room. We talk about the need and kind of gather support from there. I did mean to mention at the start of this, we did have a last minute request that the task force did not speak to or have presented to them due to timing, was the Woodstock Hospital transit passes for the Heart Hub. This was just this past week request. For those that are unaware, the Heart Hub temporary location has just started December 1st, and they're finding getting transportation from the hospital over to the Huron Street location was being difficult. So this came forward and was suggested we get it ahead because of the Christmas holidays. So just full transparency to councilors that are sitting here. I did speak with most of the committee members on there, and nobody seemed to have any issues with it. In fact, they were very positive towards it. So I'm quite confident they would have their support. But thank you. And the three priorities the task force has been focusing on, of course, we mentioned it earlier, was youth, but also homelessness and housing needs and food insecurities. So I think this year we've done very well as a committee to address each one of those individually as we can. So thank you. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you, and I fully support what has been put forth here. And I'm really happy to hear that that food insecurity is included in what you have done and what was passed a couple of meetings ago. So yes, I support this 100%, and thanks for all the work that you're doing on it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to go to consideration of planning reports. 9A, request for extension of draft approved of subdivision. Mr. Gilbert, welcome.
Thank you. This is a request from Woodstock Meadows Developments to extend the draft plan of subdivision approval. It is set to lapse January 11th, 2026. They've requested a 3-year extension. The applicant has registered one phase of the development. So the roads are built and servicing's in place. And that first phase has 126 single detached dwelling units and 128 townhouse units. The overall plan has 4 phases. So the first phase is registered, but it's given the number of units, there's over 1,000 residential units in this plan. It's not unreasonable to extend the draft approval to allow time for the market conditions to improve, to register the remaining 866 dwelling units. For this reason, staff are supportive of a 3-year period in light of the normal 2-year period to give it additional time to January 11th, 2029. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Seeing none, looking for a motion. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. I'll move that Woodstock City Council advise Oxford County that the city supports a 3-year extension to the draft approval of the Woodstock Meadows Developments, Inc. subdivision SB 21-10-8 for lands described as Part Lot 5, Concession 14, East Sora, being Parts 1, 3, 5, and 6, 41R 7650 in the city of Woodstock to January the 11th, 2029, as set out in report number CP 2025-346.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wismer Van Meer. Discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. Mr. Gilbert, 9B.
Thank you. This is a zone change application affecting the same property, the Woodstock Meadows development. And what this application seeks to do is alter the definition of how lot frontage is calculated. Typically, the lot frontage, particularly for a curved lot, not so much a regular lot with a parallel front lot line, but for a curved lot line, the lot frontage is measured a distance from the rear lot line to the front yard setback. In this case, the front yard setback was reduced through a zone change from 6 meters to 4.5 meters. So when you do that calculation on the curved lots, particularly for the townhouses, the frontage is actually less than what the bylaw would require. There's an interpretation error that no one picked up on through the detailed design. So what this zone change will do will just amend that definition of lot to frontage to ensure it's calculated at the 6 meters, which is what the actual garages of all these units are set at, to provide the required parking space in the front yard. So to summarize, it's a technical amendment just to allow for the proper calculation of lot frontage. There's no change to the units or the design of the subdivision. As such, staff recommend approval of the application.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Seeing none, looking for a motion. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council approve the application for zone change submitted by Woodstock Meadows Development, Inc. for lands described Part Lot 5, Concession 14, Isora, being Parts 1, 3, 5, and 6, 41R-7650 in the city of Woodstock to amend the existing zoning on the subject lands to facilitate the development of a residential plan of subdivision by establishing a revised definition for minimum lot frontage on the subject lands, and further that any comments received from the public were reviewed and considered before the decision was made in relation to this planning matter.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Lauder. Any questions? Any other staff or discussion? Call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. Next up is consideration of correspondence. 10A Woodstock Public Library Board year-end surplus carryover. Councillor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council authorizes the Woodstock Public Library Board to carry over the 2025 year-end surplus to the automation reserve of the board.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Tate, discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is carried. None opposed. Next up, 10B, Woodstock Accessibility Advisory Committee Special Events Capital Budget Request. For a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. No resolutions required as this refers to Department Report 14A4. My apologies. That brings us to 10C. Councillor Schattenberg is requested following correspondence. Counselor Shanberg.
I guess I have to read the entire motion. Whereas the Conservation Authorities Act 1946 enables municipalities to establish local conservation authorities, and when municipalities choose to from such authorities, they assume responsibility for governance and funding through the appointment of a board of directors and the provision of any annual levy to cover expenses. And whereas the municipalities within Oxford County, including the city of Woodstock, are served by the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, the UTRCA, which has provided watershed-based programs and services for decades. And whereas local municipalities currently provide a significant portion of conservation authority funding, while the province of Ontario provides a comparatively small share. And whereas municipalities have governed their respective conservation authorities for decades, tailoring programs and services to local watershed needs, maintaining accountable service standards, and ensuring fair and predictable costs for ratepayers. And whereas conservation authorities collectively own and manage thousands of acres of land, which are donated by local residents and entrusted to conservation authorities as a personal legacy for long-term protection, stewardship, and the public good, with the expectation that such lands would be cared for by locally governed conservation authorities. And whereas Bill 68, Schedule 3 of Bill 68, proposes the creation of the Ontario Provincial Conservation Agency, which will be a Crown corporation that would assume governance responsibilities and consolidate Ontario's 36 conservation authorities into 7 regional authorities, with municipal cost apportionment yet to be defined. I think I'm about halfway done it. And whereas the province already possesses the authority to establish overarching legislation, regulation, and standards throughout the Conservation Authorities Act and the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation, and Parks. And whereas the Thames River Watershed, UTRCA and LTRCA, so that's the lower Thames, is unique in that it drains into Lake St. Clair and not Lake Erie or Lake Huron, and therefore offers a unique focus which cannot be compared to the neighboring conservation authorities. 6 others are proposed to be included in the amalgamation. Whereas the UTRCA has maintained a strong financial structure, including long-term investments to assist in its specific watershed projects over the long term. And whereas the UTRCA and the city of Woodstock have an ongoing land lease agreement, creating a free day use park in which each partner has responsibilities to maintain this green space park for citizens and campgoers. Now therefore be resolved that the county of the city of Woodstock calls on the government of Ontario to maintain local independent municipally governed watershed-based conservation authorities to ensure strong local representation in its decisions related to municipal levies, community-focused service delivery, and the protection and management of conservation lands. And further, that while the city of Woodstock supports provincial goals for consistent permit approval processes, known as Section 28, shared services and digital modernization, imposing a new top-down agency structure without strong local accountability and governance risks creating unnecessary cost, red tape, and bureaucracy, thereby undermining efficiency and responsiveness to local community needs. And further, that the city of Woodstock supports efforts to balance expertise, capacity, and programming delivery across the province, and requests that the province work collaboratively with municipalities and local conservation authorities to determine the most effective level of strategic consolidation to achieve both provincial and local objectives. And further, that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Ontario Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, to the local MPs and MPPs and Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and the Rural Ontario Municipal Association.
Wouldn't you hate if I tell you you have to do that again? But you don't, so don't worry. And you did say a seconder there, Counselor Schattenberg? No? Okay, looking for a seconder. Counselor Tate. Discussion, Counselor Schattenberg?
Yeah, not to repeat the entire motion one more time, but I think there's something, the upper Thames and lower Thames are very unique in the fact that they do drain into Lake St. Clair and not drain into Lake Huron or Lake Erie, because the idea is they want to take 8 conservation authorities and create what's going to be called, or could possibly be called, the Lake Erie Regional Conservation Area. And I guess the one thing that's important is people have until December 22nd to submit to the province of Ontario, and really the provincial government or Queen's Park is not currently sitting. In fact, I don't think they sit again until March. They're on their sort of their winter break. But to take 68 centers and create down to just 7, to me, is not a very good plan. And we talked about the section 28, or at least I mentioned that in the mandate. That's when you somebody who wants to do an improvement or a project has to come in because there's a possible water restriction or floodplain restriction on that property that they have to get approval. But the UTRCA does a lot more than floodplain mapping between running conservation areas, and even things like the wildlife and habitat that's currently in your watershed area as well. So I think that they do a very important role there. And I've been on the UTRCA board since I've been on council, so that's 7 years now.
Thank you. Anyone else? Speak to that. No, Councillor Martin?
Yeah, I'll try to be brief. This is a bit of a deja vu from yesterday because Councillor Petrie had a very similar motion on the county agenda yesterday, and I know you were in the audience. But I'll say a succinct version of what I said yesterday, that Bill 68 is essentially, as you said, forcing how many? 36 units down to 7. Back in 2019, the province, this provincial government, had a similar idea for public health units. And I think it was 39 units down to 10 was the goal. And the pushback from municipalities was so enormous that the provincial government backed down. Are they going to back down on this? I don't know, but I think it's up to us and you through this motion to let them know that this is not acceptable, that this type of consolidation does not meet the needs at the local level. I also mentioned yesterday that at that time in 2019, the Public Health Board decided to disseminate its reserves back out to the municipalities who had funded it to safeguard those reserves, because they had come from the local level and they felt that if we were forced into mergers, it was best for that money to go back to the local level. So hopefully between you and Councillor Petrie, who I believe is the chair of UTRCA, that is something that could be considered at that board level. It's complicated, but it was well worth the effort that the Public Health Board went through at that time.
Thank you. Councillor Shanmugam?
Just add to what Councillor Martin said, that Brian Petrie, the mayor of Ingersoll, is actually the past chair of the UTRCA. But what's interesting about it, there's 15 people on the committee whatsoever, and even how they break down the annual budget is based on population. So you might think, well, London has a heavier say therefore than Oxford County, but quite frankly, that does make sense. But the 15 members, all 15 of them are elected officials, except for Sandy Levin from the City of London, who's been on the UTRCA board forever, and no one dares to lets him retire. That's for sure. But that's why I sort of say it's elected officials. So if you combine that with 8 other or 7 other boards altogether, we might be lucky to have somebody from Oxford County actually sitting on the board, and there's currently 5 of us.
Councillor Martin?
I would just say that's an excellent reason to not merge, because we lose the local voice and the local expertise and the local representation. So you're bang on that one.
Thank you. Anyone else? I think there's been enough said about. I'm not going to add much more. I do have some concerns anytime we lose our public voice, our local voice, but I also see need sometimes of recognizing, trying to reduce some of the barriers and red tape for developers. So this is one of those that is pushing it a little bit, in my opinion. Anyone else? I'll call a vote. All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. No presentations from staff or agents, no mayor's reports, no counselor reports, but we do have some department reports, of course. 14A, Administrative Services, 2026 Interim Tax Levy. Looking for a motion. Counselor Lauder?
Thank you. I'll move that Woodstock City Council approve the interim tax levy for 2026 and that the necessary bylaw be brought forward for the 3 readings.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Counselor Tate, discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. Next up, 14A2, temporary borrowing bylaw. Looking for a motion, Counselor Sandberg.
Yeah, make a motion that Woodstock City Council authorizes the temporary borrowing to a maximum of $5 million for the year 2026, and that the necessary bylaw be brought forward for 3 readings.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Counselor Tate, discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, that's carried. 14A3, items to be carried over year end. Looking for a motion? Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself that Woodstock Council approve the requests to carry funds over the year end as listed for various capital and revenue fund projects, and that these funds be recognized as a prior year commitment or a reserve contribution as appropriate.
Thank you. Second by Counselor Schattenberg. Discussion or questions? Counselor Martin?
Yeah, I had a couple of thoughts and a couple of questions. So as I went through the attachment that lists all of the outstanding amounts and comments of where they're at, I totaled it up and there are $19,559,000 worth of projects plus the $16.8 million industrial land, which I won't include that, but $19.5 million that are outstanding. Now, I recognize that some of those are projects that might actually be complete or 99% complete, but the invoice hasn't made it to finance and finance hasn't paid the invoice and therefore posted. So there's, a paper trail there sometimes. But it concerns me that we're going to be looking at our capital budget for 2026 in a few minutes, and we're going to ask for 29.4 million new capital project dollars in 2026 when we still have 19.5 million outstanding plus the industrial park project. So for example, INF 00025, $1.47 million from 2025 is being carried forward, but we're adding $1.32 million in 2026 for asphalt resurfacing. So that's just an example that we haven't even finished everything from this current year, and we're adding more to the list. So I just raise it as a concern. I want us all to be aware of it. But I did have one specific question about BLD 00151, the Southside Park shop renovation. In the 2025 budget, it was budgeted for $200,000, but we're carrying forward $375,000. And I don't remember a report where during the past year where we increased that, or am I just not remembering that report at this time?
Your worship, through to the councillor's question. I believe that those numbers, as far as what the park shop costs, were the numbers that got carried forward the year previous. This has had 2 carryovers period, so it wasn't just last year's carryover, it was the year before. So that's probably where the additional funds came from.
So if I'd have gone back to my 2024
I
budget,
believe
that might be where there might be another 125, 175. Okay, thank you. That helps understand that one because it just didn't reconcile for me. Oh,
I've just got the project managers here and was shaking her head, so I clearly made an error on that. But I can get those where the park shop dollars have come from.
okay, perfect. I want to be aware that as we carry these forward, we taxed people in 2025 to do these projects in 2025. Many of them come from reserves, but some of it is levy based. And as we add to that, potentially in the budget that we will be looking at in a few minutes, I just want it to be in our minds that there's still work to be done before we start the next tranche of work.
Okay. Anyone else? Counselor Tate?
Through the mayor, and I think this came up last time, and so once again, I'd like the CAO to speak to it because it's kind of confusing for the public, and I had somebody actually contact me today and rumor going around that we have this money put aside that we're not spending, so if you can explain it to the public why the money is sitting there, but it is actually for projects and why it hasn't been spent yet.
Your worship, to Councillor Tate and council, it does represent work in progress. And so quite often our acquisition of the asset or our construction contracts, they don't line up with the calendar year, which is our fiscal year. The supply chains have changed dramatically. Being able to actually take possession of the fleet that you budget for and order in a year within that same year is becoming the exception, not the rule. And so we do find ourselves having to carry over substantial numbers of projects. These are all backstopped by purchase orders, or signed contracts. So it is committed. It's just simply not completed. Many of these projects will be on this list because the work is done, but we still have holdback. So we have statutory holdback provisions, the 10% under the Construction Lien Act. We have to wait a certain period of time before those holdbacks can be released. So there's a variety of reasons. This is not out of the ordinary. When we do build the capital budget, we are pushing back on our department heads and on the staff, speaking specifically to the capacity to actually deliver on the projects. And that filter is applied as we build this capital budget and present it to council.
Continue.
Thank you for that. I understand it, but it sounded confusing, so I just want the public to understand. I know because in the private sector, for example, I had a client building an apartment building. So you do the builder's risk, which would be, if we sent out to do a road, a builder's risk for $50 million, they budget it in that year, but because of supplies, it could take 2 years. But it's got to stay on the books and you keep going. So it's not like we are holding the money somewhere and not allocating it, because that's the rumor that I heard was going around. So it is in projects, so the public knows. They just haven't been completed because it's very difficult to get a project done within a year.
And I'll also note that the comments on each item are listed in the agenda, of course, where they are, when the work is expected to be done, what status they are. So, yeah. Councillor Schattenberg.
Yeah, that's one of the things too, talking about the carryovers in general. I got a question as well for Brian Connors from Parks and Recreation. For example, the Cowan Sportsplex splash pad, I understand that project is basically complete and it's in here as a carryover versus something like architect's drawings for Cowan Fields Community Center is in here, but that's not complete. So maybe give us another example as to how that sort of evolves that way as far as a carryover, something that's already approved.
Your worship, through to the councilor's question. So yes, in the case of Cowan Sportsplex, the splash pad is complete. There is one final test that we'll need to do once we can turn on the water. It's too cold to do that right now. So there is a holdback on that, but really we're just at the final test, and then we can pay the contractor out the final amounts owing.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. All those in favor? None opposed? Those are carried. Thank you. 14A4, adoption of 2026 capital budget and 2027-2030 capital forecast. Looking for this up. The emotion. Yeah. Making sure. Thank you. Looking for a motion on the very first recommendation from staff. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I move that Woodstock City Council remove project FIR 00061 Car 1 Lights Siren for $17,000 from 2026.
Thank you. Second by Councillor Lauder. Discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. That brings us to motions received by members of council, and we are going to start with Councillor Leatherborough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So moved by myself, that Woodstock City Council approve $15,000 in the 2026 capital budget for accessible surfacing to enhance the accessibility of Woodstock's special events to be financed from the Reserve for Capital Projects.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Martin? Would you like to speak to your motion? Councillor Leatherborough?
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. So you'll notice in the agenda package that the Woodstock Accessibility Advisory Committee did provide a letter of support for this motion. And I just wanted to clarify for council that they discuss mats specifically. The committee was very excited about mats to help with special events, say in Southside Park on grass. And the mats seem to be, from their investigations, what would have worked best. But those mats are typically found on the beach. And so the wording for this motion has been adjusted to kind of allow staff to investigate further what they think the experts could be best for special events. So if you've looked at the letter, it does support this idea and goal of making Woodstock special events more accessible. It's just removing that specific word of mats. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Lauder?
At this time, I will not be supporting this request. I would like further clarification on exactly what is being requested and the locations anticipated. I'm completely familiar with mats, as I've seen them down in Port Dover. I've walked out on them, and certainly on the soft surfaces, and that the mats are good. And I think they're a wonderful idea. And in speaking with Mr. Connors, the mat idea is not something feasible on a hard surface, and locates would have to be would be required. I'm not saying that I don't want this to happen. I'm just thinking that if we waited until we got a little bit more clarification and identify areas where they could be located or what could be located, and bring this forward in the 2027 budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Leatherborough?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just again wanted to clarify that I think the committee had done their own investigating and as I said, was focused on the mats, but then talking to staff, they wanted to kind of broaden that with the term of accessible surfacing. And another example is that sometimes when you go to different concerts, there can be kind of a metal platform for people with wheelchair or mobility issues. So they have their own platform to view the events. So again, I know mats has been mentioned quite a few times, but this committee has also been advocating for this since 2023, that there are shortfalls, if you will, with some of our special events. They're incredible, but this has definitely been something that the committee has been asking for, researching for. And so I just wanted to clarify, not that you have to vote in favor of it, but just that the committee is very passionate about this because there are people missing out on our community events.
Thank you. Councillor Tate?
Yeah, through the chair, just through to the director. So I understand what both are saying. So my question is, it's to approve the 15,000, not exactly sure what we're going to get for the surfacing. So would a report come back? So I'm just wondering, is the 15,000, is it not enough? Is it too much? Or do you have any idea so I understand it's coming from reserves, so that's fine. But I just want to know if something would come back to council, so we would have an idea, because I am a little confused with it.
Your worship, through to the councillor's question, staff would need to do some research with the accessible committee to find out where the barriers are for special events and what is the best means to overcome those barriers. So that would have to proceed to begin with, and then if we needed to purchase anything to help in alleviating that, that would be the next step. Whether a report to council would be needed, that is up to council to decide whether it wants a report back first, or if they want staff and the accessibility committee to proceed from here.
I guess just a follow-up. So once you do the investigation, if you need more money, then it would come back here, right? Okay. So because I don't know what I'm actually approving. So basically I'm just approving 15,000 for accessible surface, but we will find out later what it is. And it's not going on the tax base because it's coming from reserves, right? Okay. Just one.
Thank you. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Just a general comment. I'm going to support this motion. I think it's important, but we also see later in our agenda, we have the 125th anniversary coming in Woodstock, and we have additional needs and asks to make these events even bigger and better. So if that means making it more accessible for people to be there, I think that should be a consideration if we're going to put money into hiring additional staff and upping the ante and putting more efforts into exhibits and such that we can have at these events, which I think is great. Thinking about the accessibility for all folks to be involved should also be, I think, something that we should be considering.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Tate.
So I guess my final comment was, I don't think the report should come back here. It would go to the accessibility committee and you would work with them. And then if it had to be more money, but we would get some kind of information just right. Okay. Yeah. I don't see the point of coming here because we are not the experts on it.
I was gonna suggest that as well, to be clear. Councillor Lauder.
I can change my mind. And listening to what has gone on, and from what Mr. Connors has said, and a little bit more explanation of what is required or might be required, then I can vote in favor of that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Tate.
Just have to comment because of an email that a couple of us received before the county budget. And thank you, Councillor Lauder, for listening to the conversation around the table before you made your final decision. That is very important. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment to that. Anyone else? Well, I'll just say that I was certainly going to support this anyways. I was going to ask that a report would be given and worked with a committee, which has already been discussed. And I thank Councillor Leatherborough and the committee for bringing this forward, because especially considering the 125th, it is more important than ever to get as many people out. And actually the only complaint I had was from two people with wheelchairs at the holiday train just recently that couldn't get through. One couldn't get through at all. The other one complained about the surfaces. So I like this. So thank you. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? Not opposed? That is carried. Next up, 478 to 484 Dundas Street demolition. Councillor Leatherborough.
Yep, moved by myself that the allocation of 250,000 for project BLD 00182 478-484 Dundas Street demolition in the 2026 capital budget be deferred to the year 2027. And further, that 50,000 be approved in the 2026 capital budget for a study into retrofitting the building for downtown activation to be financed from the reserve for capital projects. And further, that the consultant engaged for the study be directed to investigate options, including but not limited to public washrooms, storage facilities, accessibility improvements, building upgrades, and incubator space for emerging small businesses. And further, that the downtown development officer assist the consultant in exploring programming, zoning considerations, and potential for an incubator model to support small businesses. And further, that the results of the retrofitting study be reported back to council by December 2026.
Thank you. Is there a seconder on that? Counselor Martin, discussion? Counselor Leatherworth, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Councilor Martin, for seconding this one as well, just to talk to it. I believe the motion is pretty well self-explanatory, but I'll make two comments that the TriStar building that was purchased for about $3 million, I often look at it and how large it is. And simply put, I would really like to see council support investigating this building. I think even in the almost 4 years I've been a councilor, we've seen many things change within our community, and we're hearing a lot of what is on the horizon for the economy. So could be a 10-year plan, could be a 15-year plan, who knows? But I would hate to tear it down without investigating the potential of this building. And I did want to include specifically the downtown development officer, because I do think Carrie Baird comes with quite a resume that could absolutely complement not only what downtown currently has to offer and the businesses and activation, but I think Carrie comes with Mrs. Baird comes with a great resume that could assist a consultant just to make sure that that local personal feel is at the table as they investigate this building. So that is the simplicity of this motion, and I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Martin? Yep.
Sorry, I saw
As a
Councillor
seconder.
Shattenberg's
As
arm. in the
seconder,
corner.
I was gonna go to you
As a seconder.
first.
Thank
Yep.
you. I was really intrigued by this motion because quite frankly, I really hadn't given thought to us actually repurposing it for our own use. And when I say our own use, I don't just mean our own use, but for the community's use. But I would be curious whether a consultant would look at using it for staffing space for municipal staff, rather than the city hall expansion that we have debated at great length. A council chambers that we have talked about, we are outgrowing this space. I know that a motion has come forward to consider other options, but I'd just be curious what a consultant might propose for a building that we now currently own. We did issue debt for this. I think it was 2.75 that we paid for the building, and then there's others for the business, but we issued debt for that, and we will be asking our community to pay the interest on that debt for the next 19 years, I believe, is the amortization on that one. And it would be nice to actually make use of the building or explore making use of the building, given that financial consideration. So I thank you, and I thank the downtown development officer for putting together some interesting potential ideas on a building that we now own. I was not loving the idea of buying that building originally. The price tag was very uncomfortable for me at the time that we made that consideration. But now that I see that it could actually be used as a community asset, warms me up to it.
Thank you. Counselor Tate.
Yeah, just through the chair. So kind of along the same lines that Councillor Martin commented. Now, I'm not in favor of the incubator space or like getting into the private sector stuff, because I think we need to stay to our core. But I think if we could do a friendly amendment and add, as commented, office space for the city hall or council chambers would be very financial prudent for the residents, because the building's there. I don't know what the cost would be. It might be cheaper to build new, but I don't know what condition the building's in, but we won't know unless there's a consultant. So I wondered if that could be put in the motion, but I also really think it's important the city engineer is part of this and the CAO, because they understand the constraints we have with facilities. So I think we should have like building experts included in this. Does that not make sense? But I'd like to see like the idea of potential to include city hall offices and a council chamber. All the options out there. Obviously, this group is not gonna make the decision, so the group that will be here, I think you gotta have all the options on the table and not limit it. Does that make sense?
Yes, if I may, it does say, yeah, but not limited to.
Yes,
So
but I
I
think we
would
should-
ask staff if they would automatically make those considerations.
But I think for the public's benefit that we should have that on there. Just so they know that we're actually looking at it, instead of spending money on an addition here, we're also looking at. Right?
Is the mover okay to add that as a friendly amendment?
I'm comfortable with the part of investigating about council chambers, but as far as like
Municipal
listing, I
space.
did consult with the engineer before I drummed up this motion, so I don't see like specifically the CAO or the city engineer being included, but I'm happy to investigate what a consultant alongside the downtown development officer. I'm sure senior management would look at that report and then it would come to council. But as far as investigating it for other things as a continuation for City Hall, I am comfortable with that amendment.
So if that's okay, Counselor Tate, and nobody objects, we need a seconder. Oh, yeah. Is the seconder, Counselor Martin, okay with that?
Yeah,
Thank you.
very, I mean, I was okay with the, but not limited to, but you're right, this could very much come to the next term of council, and I think
Yeah.
articulating it now,
Like that.
is important.
Just threw a comment about not including the city engineer and, my father at one time was in charge of a large build. And when you don't have engineers involved, like you just have an architect, stuff gets completely out of control. So they sometimes have a different vision, a consultant than a black and white person like a city engineer. So that's my concern, that you get to something, it's way bigger than what you think it's gonna be, but we cannot control it. That's, because they look at it from their lens and they're not looking at the dollar value. That's my concern with that. So I get that, but I think it's really important that it's in hand with senior staff. That's what I worry, because I've seen it done before, lots of times.
Counselor Leatherborough?
So I'll just say thank you for your comments, but I'll still stick with, if you're in favor of that amendment of just what it was before those last comments about council chambers, I think it's getting too wordy now.
May I suggest then just keep it simple with municipal space? Just keep it general and who knows what comes out of it? Office, council, anything with conversations? Is that simple enough? So mover, seconder? Yes, municipal space. Municipal space. Thank you. Counselor Tate?
Okay, so what I'm hearing is, doesn't want to have senior management included. So my question is to the CAO, if it's just a consultant and the downtown, are you going to have any control or the drawings or anything that comes through from a consultant? That's my concern, because sometimes you will get something way larger than what we can afford. That's all.
Your worship, through to Councillor Tate, there is the expertise of myself, the city engineer, our new facilities manager, our chief building official, comes to everything that this council approves, regardless of the wording that is included in that motion. So we do not need that wording included. It is our involvement will be from beginning to end of report.
Just to follow up to that, so when originally, if you recall, when the soccer club, they got way out of control, I brought you to a meeting and everything was stopped. So all this money was spent on drawings and concepts, because we didn't have you involved because you were the city engineer at the time. So that's all I was trying to, but because we're a city, this will be a city-owned facility, we won't have that issue. That's all I was concerned about. Because you get doing the drawings and the drawings are really expensive, and then
We just saw some recently with City Hall, in my opinion, but yes. Anyone else? Counselor Shanberg?
Yeah, just to add one more person and maybe into the conversation, just wanted to know if Brad Hammond, our development commissioner, has any kind of a background sort of on the age of the building, because I grew up in Woodstock and I remember when there's a lunch counter in there and it was Woolworths and then it was Double D and Collegiate Sports and Intersport with Dave McLaren and company, that it's been, the building's been around for a long time, but anything on, does it have a full basement? Just any kind of a brief overall assessment of it before I kind of make up my mind as to whether or not I'd be agreeing.
Your worship, through the question. So, yeah, I don't know the exact age of the building. Obviously, it's at least as old as you. So, and I suspect a fair bit more. So, yeah, it's been around for quite a while. It was a Woolworth store, so it has a full basement, or at least what would look like a full basement to me. 8 or 10 feet, I think, in the north end. There is a conveyor belt that goes down to the basement too, that's used for moving inventory in and out. So, the building has had a couple of fires over the last decade or so. Parts of the building have been replaced or repaired. So, it's, it's 2 floors of about 11,000 square feet each.
Anyone else? I was really hesitant on this one, I'll admit, because I've been a big supporter of downtown, of the new streetscape as well as Museum Square, envisioning what could be a larger Museum Square. But I thank Councillor Leatherborough for bringing this forward. I think considering the needs and wants, I said it probably 300 times yesterday during county, is we do have to look at things a little bit differently right now moving forward. I think we have an asset in hand. I think looking at what other uses could do with that, I'm in favor, because of course we can't do it after the fact. So I will be in favor of this. Anyone else? Oh, Councillor Tate?
Yeah, just the last comment. I think you're exactly right. And I think the cost for the consultant to see if the building is of any value, it could come back and it's not of any value, but we wouldn't know unless we investigate it. So because the taxpayer actually owns it, I think we owe it to them to take a look at that building if there's any repurposing.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. So Museum Square improvements, Councillor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council reduce the budget allocation for project PKS 00138 Museum Square improvements in the 2026 capital budget from 90,000 to 20,000. Oh my goodness. 22,000. Thank you.
Is there a seconder on that? Councillor Wismer Van Meer. Discussion, Councillor Leatherborough, want to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yep, so I did connect with staff prior to the previous motion, just to understand that was the 90,000 allotted for when the TriStar building came down. And I said that if this previous motion passed to defer that demolition, we could reduce or shave down this number. So now there'll be, if approved, there'll be 22,000 for Museum Square, but that's just kind of the math behind this motion.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. Next up, we have Councillor Schattenberg.
Make a motion that Woodstock City Council combine projects INF 00115 Vanier reconstruction with project INF 00078 Nesbitt Crescent for the purposes of creating an economy of scale and thereby receiving tenders on the combined project.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Tate, discussion. Would you like to speak to your motion, Councillor Schattenberg?
Yeah, I guess from the mayor through to engineer, Mr. DeHaan, I guess what we talked about it through emails and whatnot, and he understands that there's a couple other projects that could possibly be combined as well. And under, maybe I'll let him speak to it, but logically, that would be done anyway.
Your worship, through the counselor, that is correct. We were basically planning on tendering both these streets as one contract. Same with Wellington, Grace, Canterbury, and Victoria and Peel. When we have two roads that are adjacent or that close together, it just makes sense to make it one contract.
Yeah, no, thanks for the response. And I was, again, just afraid that be one company coming in and doing the big crescent and then somebody else coming in doing the connecting streets, which to me didn't make sense. So that's why I put together this motion.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll call a vote. All those in favor? None opposed? That is carried. Next up, we have Councillor Tate. This is item number 5 for those watching at home.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council remove 300,000 in 2026 and 3.255 million in 2027 from project INF 00138 downtown revitalization that supports phase 3 of the streetscape master plan.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Shattenberg, discussion. Councillor Tate, speak to your motion.
Yeah, so I know it's not getting done next year anyways, and it'll be a new group of people that come in to decide. But I remember some of the comments where we'll do it in phases and we'll see what we've done right and we've done wrong. So what happened was the entire thing was passed, and I don't think everybody understood completely what was in it. So phase 3 could be done, but at a cheaper cost. So there's a lot of extras that went in, and I think it's really important that a new council come in, actually look at the consultant report instead of us just passing it on. I think they need to look at it and take stuff out of it that they think is really important, and then not the extras, because it's the extras that add all the cost on it to, that makes it the 3.255. It's not just the cement and the asphalt that's the cost. It was all the extras involved. So like the brand new light fixtures, the bollards that were all this extra stuff. So I think you look at what was done. Is that exactly the same thing that they want done? Or do we want it done somewhat the same? Or do we want to do it cheaper? So that was my reason, because it's going to be a new group and I didn't want to. I think it's important that they read the consultant report instead of, oh yeah, this council passed it, let's just go. I think because there's going to be new people, I think it's important that they see it and study it and take stuff from it. So that was my reasoning.
Would you like to speak to the motion as a seconder, Councillor Shattenberg?
Yeah, sure. Our CIO, David Curry, often uses the term placeholder to sort of say, well, things in future years, 2027, 2028 is essentially just a placeholder. But if you put some large daunting numbers in there for a new twin pad arena or new swimming pools or a third fire hall into the future, people will say, well, we can't spend any money whatsoever on anything until 2030 because we look like we got all this money earmarked for all these other previous years. And if you look at again, the future, it looks like 2029 will be a very daunting year for construction in the city of Woodstock, especially when you start looking at things like how are you going to pay for it, whether it be debt or debenture. And so I just think this is one way to sort of push this back one more year, this plan anyway.
Thank you. Anyone else? I was getting there. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Jody. I have a question and a comment. Can someone just remind me what was the 300,000 for 2026 allocated for? Because I'm really forgetting.
I think it's safe to say design only
Yeah.
was
okay.
included for the 300,000.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So as I read this motion, and the mover, Councillor Tate, you can correct me if I'm wrong. This takes this out of the future capital plan altogether. Whereas what I thought I heard in your comments is that a future council should be able to make it their own after reviewing. And I completely agree that a future council will have to make the decisions on this moving forward. But if this is removed out entirely and isn't a placeholder, then that reduces a future council's ability to reconsider.
Counselor Tate?
Yeah, through the chair, no, it does not, because we have not taxed anybody for this yet. So I think it's important when the new council comes in that they don't see, oh, so 3.255 million, let's just do it. I think it's really important that they look at it, look what needs to be done, what can we do to save money, and what is financial feasible. They can still do it in 2027, but it might be at a cheaper cost, because we haven't taxed anybody for this. So there's no reason the new council that comes in 2026, they can pass it in the budget in 2026 and it gets done in 2027. Is that not correct? It's just gonna be a different amount. So I didn't want that amount sitting there when we haven't taxed anybody, because I think the project could be way scaled back from what we've been doing. It's just, so we haven't taxed anybody for this, so we take it out. At any time, the new council can bring it back and put it in and get it done, correct?
Your worship, through to Councilor Tate and Council, I think the issue is the 300,000 that is in 2026 is for the design of that, consistent with the designs that have been done previously, which would bring it more in line with the 3.255 presumably estimated cost for that phase 3. That 300,000 in 2026 is proposed to be financed by debenture. So it is not taxation yet, and it is not something that we would issue debenture for a completed asset. That completed asset would only occur in 2027 with the completion of phase 3. And at that time, we would be issuing the debt to fund the 2026 expenditure along with the 2027 expenditure. So I think the issue is that the 300,000 will essentially design this project that sets gives us construction documents, tender documents to move forward with something. And if we don't know what that something is, then we shouldn't do it, or we should move forward the way we have been.
So that's my reasoning. So because a new group is gonna come in, I think they should be the ones deciding, because I still think there was a lot of stuff. Normally, when you get a consultant report, you don't take the whole thing and pass it. So you take stuff here and there, and it was said, we'll do it in phases and we'll see what we did right and we did wrong. So now that we see it, there's some issues. So the new group can come in, look at the design. We don't, who knows what they could say, we don't want it like this. We don't want all these extras, and scale it down, but it will still fit into what we have. So I just think what we've done has not been the right way to do it. Just my opinion. You can vote against it, that's fine. But it's really expensive for one block for what we're doing. And I think there's some extras. I think we should have taken more time, took the whole report, took stuff out of it, and not done the whole thing just like it was, because as we know, we're all into times now, we can't afford it all. So that was my reasoning. I just think it's, I think it's really important that we be fiscally responsible with what we're doing down here. And there's a lot of extras, and we all know the consultant makes money off of the extras, and that's what's happened. I had another consultant look at it and they're like, what is that design? I've never seen anything like that. So I think it's important to have another set of eyes on it and study it. I don't think that was done here. I don't think we discussed anything that was done. It was just, let's go. So I think it's important to take a step back Let the people that are gonna be sitting here make the decision.
Counselor Martin.
Could I just ask for a follow-up clarification that Counselor Tate asked a question? I'm not sure, well, I thought I heard you ask the question. If this is taken out as a placeholder, if the 3.255 is taken out of 2027 as a placeholder, does that eliminate it forever? Or does a future council have the ability to make it reappear if they wish? Or isn't that the whole point of a placeholder, that the dollar value can rise or lower? But the whole point of having a running forecasted budget is to, grand scheme of things, prepare for what might come. If it is taken out, is it gone forever?
Your worship, through to Councillor Martin. Yeah, we forecast, we do a 5-year forecast so that we can see on the horizon the peaks and valleys of spending needs and try and flatten those out so that it's more even, and match the available funds to fund those projects. So certainly taking something out that works against that. It now disappears from the projected totals over that 5-year period. It's not to say that things do pop up into the budget without being in the 5-year forecast. That happens. And certainly council can direct a project to come forward in any current year as it so wishes. If the 3 million, if I understood your question, if the 3 million were removed from the budget, but the 300,000 was not removed from the budget, we would need to refinance that 300,000 by a different source of financing other than debenture, because it's not linked to an actual capital asset at this point that we're intending to do. So if we did go down that path, we would have to come forward with alternative financing.
Continue.
I'll just give my opinion. I'm totally comfortable removing the 300,000 because that's spending money on a plan that we don't know what it will look like. So I'm totally fine with removing the 300,000 in 2026, but removing the placeholder, I'm not as comfortable with that because, and we've been under budget on the first 2 phases already. So we budgeted a certain amount, but we didn't actually spend that full amount. So I don't really want to lose the placeholder because a future council, hypothetically, if there was 7 new people here, they wouldn't even know where to start on doing that. Even if it's 4 new people or 3 new people or 2 new people. So I'm a little not comfortable with removing the line item completely from the 2027 budget, and my thoughts pertain to the next couple of motions as well. So would you entertain a motion to divide, to consider these $2 amounts separately, or are they linked for you?
I have no issue dividing it, but I just want to make a comment. So you said a new council coming in, I have no idea. Well, when we came in, I was on the previous council and none of this was in there. And all of a sudden it was in there. We was like $58 million in placeholders that were never there. So yes, you can take it anytime and add it. So a new council can come in anytime and do that. This council did it and not even hardly looking at it. So I don't think we were responsible what we did. And I think it needs to slow down. A new council come in, look at what is in that consultant report. You don't just take something and pass exactly what they want. So I understand what you're saying, but this council did it. We did it the very first year, passed $58 million, nobody knew, and put it in the budget. So now every year we have to try and take it out. So now we're coming into an election year. Let the new group study it and see what is right and what is wrong, because we didn't do that. So if you want to divide it, that's fine. I have no issue with that, but some of the comments don't make any sense to me because we did that. Brand new group did that and when we put it in. So anybody can do that. Any council, anytime can do it. So if you want to split it out, I can split it out, take the 300, remove that, and then do the separate one.
I don't remember the seconder on that. Was that Counselor Schoenberg? Great. All right. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yeah, looks. Counselor Martin, do you want to make that motion or not? You look unsure. Well, maybe while you're considering, I'd like to speak to it, if that's okay. Um, again, I said it so many times yesterday that I do understand the needs and wants. There are differences these days. I think seeing the economic future is a little uncertain right now. I think we're very lucky here in the city of Woodstock, let me be clear. But looking at a nearby neighbor, what could be happening in the town of Ingersoll, all of a sudden is always possible. Not likely, thankfully, with our Toyota partners in lots of conversations, but still. I am in favor of downtown revitalization. I've said it 100 times as well. I think it's needed. I fully support it. I am not going to be in favor of this motion the way it sits right now, because I truly think we need a plan. We need to have engineered drawings. We need to have something for the next council to look at. If we delete this the way it's worded currently, next council's coming in literally blind. They don't have anything to vote on. They don't have dollars that are going to be allocated in a future budget. And I'll remind everybody, even watching at home, 2027, future council decisions, not this council decision, not today. Because again, they will have an opportunity. So for those reasons, I will not be supporting the way the motion is right now. Councillor Tate.
And I appreciate that. Those that supported it, I understand it. That's and it's fine. But we came in as a new council and passed this without looking at it. So yes, a new council will come in and do what they want to do. So I don't think that's an argument. I think being supportive of what's going on is fine, but I think it would be incorrect to say a new council would have no idea, because this council did that without, and like the first year, boom, 58 million. So I think it's important that we take a step back and not tie the hands of the taxpayer to 3.2 million, but I fully support everybody's different opinion. I'm fine with that. That's my reasoning for the motion. I wasn't going to kill it. I just wanted it to be done. If it's going to be done economically feasible, because it's a little out of hand.
As it's been mentioned, it is just a placeholder. It is just a dollar amount that is in future for considerations. And again, that's why I support it. Anyone else before I call the vote? Or, sorry, Councillor Martin, is there any? Okay. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? Against? Motion carried 4-3. Or sorry, defeated 4-3. My apologies. Councillor Tate, next.
Okay, this is gonna be like yesterday, I can just feel it. The Woodstock City Council removed 2.7 million in 2029 from project 00138 downtown revitalization that supports phase 4 of the streetscape master plan. And seconder. And I'm not gonna speak to it because I have the exact same comments to make, so I don't think I need to waste anybody's time. I'm sure it's gonna be the same result.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Lauder? Okay, thank you. As a seconder, would you like to speak to it if the? Councillor Lauder.
I will speak to this. I didn't speak to the other one because I would have said basically what I'm going to say now. I'm supporting the motion, looking at all the costs of the complete project downtown streetscape going forward 2026 to 2030 to accomplish these wants rather than needs being debentured. This is not being fiscally responsible to our citizens. We have other streets that require complete reconstruction, at least 9 in the assessment management report dating back to the early 1900s. While Dundas Street was done a few years ago, I have not changed my mind on these 5 phase streets projects since the inception. And I understand the phase 1, 2, and 3 are Light Street to Wellington, which I think is very important for the downtown. But now we're going Vancouver to Light on this, and I will be speaking to the phase 5. So that's my reasoning on this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, again, I'm not going to say much, exact same reasons. I'm going to be voting against this just as a placeholder, as it's been called, for future council decisions. Again, this council is not going to be spending 2.7 on this phase 4 yet.
I just want to make that clear to the public. This is not getting taxed in
Yeah.
this capital budget. So
Exactly.
don't think because we're talking about it, it's getting taxed. I just wanted to have a discussion about it because I think it's really important for the next group coming in to take a real good look.
Yeah.
But we are not taxing anybody for this.
Thank you, and that's, again, why I referred to it as a placeholder for future council decisions. Anyone else before Councillor Schattenberg?
Just want to reiterate what I've mentioned in the past. I think both phase 4, starting at Van Sitter, going towards Light, and phase 5 going eastward from Wellington. I've been 100% against both projects since day one and will continue to be so, based on the fact that there's absolutely nothing wrong with the infrastructure. And we've got a asset management plan from the city's engineering office that I think far outweighs anything to do with a strategic planning wish or dream.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Against? Motion fails as a tie. 3-3. Next up, right, I'll wait. Councillor Tate, Museum Square.
Woodstock City Council decrease project 00186 Museum Square revitalization from 8 million to 2 million, and that the project be moved from 2028 to 2030.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Lauder, discussion? Would you like to speak to this, Councillor Tate?
So I know this is just a placeholder, but the cost was including a ice rink, building for a Zamboni. I don't think anybody was ever gonna spend $8 million down there, so I think it's responsible to put it back to 2. 2 might not even get spent, I don't know. But, so if the building ends up staying there, we have no idea, but I didn't want 8 million sitting on the books when it's probably never gonna be close to that.
Thank you. Anyone else? As seconder, would you like to speak to it? Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. I will support this request, the reduction and to be dealt with in the 2030 capital budget, anticipating that the state of the economy is improved at that time. The museum and square enhancement has been my wish since the downtown streetscape project was talked about. I do feel it is important to bring people downtown. The events that happened throughout this year has really proven that. Now, with that building not coming down, maybe we don't need to spend that kind of money. So it's there as a placement, and I agree with the resolution, the motion.
I'm just gonna add that we don't know if that building's coming down or not. We're gonna get a report for future considerations, just for people watching at home. That's all, that missed that part. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I will support this motion as well. I've been on the opposite of Councillor Lauder and have been more about seeing our streetscape done to address some accessibility issues and, kind of just put that more inviting feeling in there. I think our museum square is fabulous. I love the way it is. I love the heritage of it. I love the history of it. I haven't been a big fan of some of the designs I've seen. I've made that I've stated that in our meetings. So as much as I know, Councillor Lutter had mentioned that she's for getting it done. I'm on the flip side of that, but I do appreciate, there are areas for improvements and changes down there. And I think that the $2 million placeholding that is a little more reasonable. Not to say that I'm not against bringing people downtown to our museum square. I think that we do a great job at that now. And I think that it's fantastic with some minor improvements that will hopefully eventually come in time.
Okay, Councillor Leatherborough.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Shocker. I'm also going to support this motion and the next one, because I do feel that over my term, some residents have assumed that I am for all downtown revitalization, and that's not true. I actually campaigned on the streetscape because it was something that I believed in when I moved from the city of Guelph to the city of Woodstock in 2014. Furthermore, I do appreciate the class was in session about not deleting projects entirely, because coming into this meeting, I was also comfortable with just removing Museum Square revitalization and the City Hall expansion, but understanding the repetitiveness and the importance of a book holder. But I do think that I've always been a firm believer in the streetscape and supporting downtown in that capacity. But it's a nice change to actually say, there's other important projects as well. And I'm going to support this motion fully.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Tate.
I just want to comment, Councillor Wismer Van Meer commented, the museum square looks fantastic right now. All the lights are up and the decorations, and I think they have made a fantastic job down there. So I agree with you. I think it does look good. I think it draws people down there already. So completely agree with your comments.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Martin.
Yeah, I'm also going to support the motion, because I think, well, we're still leaving a placeholder there for that future council, whoever that happens to be, to work with. It leaves them something to work with. It also indicates that not everything has to be as grand as we would, like it to be. Nice to haves, need to haves. I think that scaling it back, or in theory, scaling it back, or I guess we're signaling to a future council that it would be okay to scale it back. And that to me is what this motion says.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, I am going to be voting in favor of this one, again, because it's a placeholder. I'll use the term again. It is something that's in there for future council to decide on. I was a little hesitant on the push from 2028 to 2030. That was the only question mark I had in my head. But again, a future council can pull us ahead, push it farther away, spend more, spend less, and we will leave that up to them. And therefore I will be voting in favor of it. So anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. Next up, City Hall expansion, Councillor Tate.
Move that Woodstock City Council decrease project building 00079 City Hall expansion from 23 million to 10 million, and the project be moved from 2029 to 2030.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Shanberg. Councillor Tate, would you like to speak
Yeah,
to
I
your
think
motion?
I think I need also to say again, none of this is affecting the budget. Even though I've decreased it, this has no effect. So don't think you're getting any taxes saved from this. It's just, as you said, the placeholder. And I appreciate a couple of conversations I had with the CAO, and he said nobody was ever going to spend $23 million. So I think it's responsible to lower that down to 10 million. Who knows? That might not even be the amount that they might need, but I think it's important that we don't have that 23 million there and people think, oh, that council was going to spend $23 million on an addition, when that's probably never going to happen.
Yes. Counselor Schoenberg? speak
And I
to it?
guess as a follow-up comment to that, MHBC was the name of the consultants that came in and did not only the downtown streetscape, but also the museum square. And then we're asked, quite frankly, and quite honestly, give them credit for that, got the position to be able to go further and sort of say, well, if we talk to all the departments in the city of Woodstock, and they were requested to do this, how much of a city hall expansion could you have to have economic development, which is currently not at City Hall, human resources, health and safety, and even downtown development all move back into City Hall. And to take the City Hall people now, like finance and the clerk's office, and say, well, how much additional space could you use in 10 or 15 years? So when the drawings were come up by JPM, that's an architect company based out of Godrich. They came up with their thoughts and square footages and drawings of where the hallways would be, where the offices would be. Yeah, that's the number they came up with, was $23 million. But as Councillor Tate says, I don't think it was ever the expectation that we'd have that big of a, especially this room itself, to expand it. And that's where I came up initially to sort of say, well, why don't we just use the chambers across the street? If anybody forgets a file, they just cross the street, grab their file and go back to the county administration building, because their room has got to be 6 times the size of this room, especially when it comes to a planning meeting where there are going to be 100 people, maybe possibly in attendance, that we're at an overflow capacity here very quickly if there's a contentious issue coming up in planning. So again, to reduce it to $10 million makes a lot more sense to me. And even to back it up to 2030 is a good idea.
Thank you. Counselor Martin?
Thanks. I'll be sporting this. It's always made me uncomfortable that hypothetical 23 or 25 million that was to be allocated towards a future city hall is what ballooned the downtown revitalization to this mythical $50 million. And so I think readjusting this number, and of course, motion number 2 that we just passed, and a future, what does a future potentially look like? This 10 million might even change over the years. It might not. But it might. And so I think it is just from a planning perspective and a messaging perspective in the community that moving this earmark to a $10 million is a lot more realistic than the 23 million that was that has been in the budget, forecasted budget, and was proposed on a design that I really wasn't all that fond of.
It's working now. Oh. Anyone else? Counselor Lauder?
I'll just say that I fully support this and it is a placement and it looks a lot better than looking at 23 million. So I fully support this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Schoenberg?
I just want to maybe confirm the year. It was 1968 that this became City Hall, I believe. So you think about how the city has grown since then, to be able to sort of think that even the departments that are here, like the clerk's office, yeah, it was a couple years after I was born. Councilor LeBarrel, I was here in 1968, but I believe that was the
You were born.
yes,
Counselor
I believe that was the
Schoenberg,
year
and
that this
how old you
became City Hall. So a number of departments have kind of gone from, say, a 3-member department to a 5-member department. And if in 10 years, they're going to be a 7-member department, if for necessity purposes, as the city grows beyond 50,000 population, that all of a sudden you think, yeah, some sort of a modest improvement has to be done, or we're going to be creating a 3rd or a 4th annex for City Hall.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else? Well, I am also voting in favor of this, again, for the same reasons we've talked about. As long as it's there as a placeholder, future councils will have the decision to do it. Currently today, I mean, it's not fiscally responsible. It's a fact. What it's going to be like in the future, we do not know. But looking at future needs and working at City Hall daily, it's very clear that there are definite needs. And our most recent addition of the municipal space across the street at 21 Market Center certainly took off a lot of pressures. So we are okay, in my opinion, for a little bit. So moving it from 29 to 2030, I've got no concerns with that, as well as I had certainly had no intentions of supporting a $23 million expansion. I think that was a pipe dream in my opinion anyway. So what that dollar amount is not as important to me, but keeping it there is. So for that reason, again, I am going to support it. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried.
I'm gonna withdraw the next one because the other two motions failed. So I'm gonna withdraw number 9.
Okay, thank you. So that brings us to outdoor pool number 10. Counselor Tate.
My motion is Woodstock City Council approve the addition of $5 million in the 2026 capital budget for the construction of a new outdoor pool to be financed by debenture, and further that staff be directed to prepare a report outlining options for location of the new outdoor pool with estimated costs for each option and potential financing sources to reduce the approved debenture financing.
Is there a seconder? Counselor Shanberg. Discussion?
Okay, this
Counselor
one,
Tate?
yes, I wrote it out so I wouldn't forget anything. So, in my mind, we're at a real crossroads at the city. We have all these big projects and putting a priority on one over another has been difficult, while at the same time keeping costs under control so that taxes and debt do not escalate out of control. So when I look at the recreation and culture, asset management, and I've been saying this is the most important document we own. Recreation and culture. So total replacement for what we actually have is 316 million. Overall condition rating is fair. Projected condition in 25 years is poor. So when I look at the recreation facility condition, 55% of our facilities are fair, 13% poor, 15% very poor. So that concerns me. And the consultant said, once we get to a population of 60,000, we needed another pool. So we have 50,000. And from what I understand, the outside residents using our facilities, we're almost up to 60,000. So we're short. We are short a pool. So when I look at this and I look at the way to do it fiscally responsible, because as the comment and the mayor and I and Councillor Gavasi did repeat this over and over about wants over needs. So just so for the public's awareness, we held our budget meeting at the county yesterday. And prior to the meeting, the mayor and the mayor of Chilsenburg and I spent considerable time doing our due diligence and reviewing the details, particularly because the budget included an additional 25 staff positions. So on top of that, we've already added 70. So the three of us kept emphasizing in the current economic climate, we must be extremely careful in distinguishing between needs and wants. So I recognize those who supported adding those new positions may look at my motion regarding an outdoor pool and question whether it's a nice to have rather than a necessity. And if that's the argument, then if it's just a nice to have, then all our seasonal recreational programs and facilities such as soccer, baseball, pickleball, and football could be viewed the same way. I personally don't use any of those facilities, and it's unlikely that I would use a new pool, yet they remain important to the community. This community had an outdoor pool for more than 70 years, and we've heard repeatedly that surrounding communities have outdoor pools that are well used. I have had so many people comment about not having the outdoor pool. And I think as I commented before, my doctor, every time I go, he says every single person that comes in comments on the pool. So to me, that is a cross section of the community. And like I've always said, you can't just concentrate on those that you talk to because you're going to get the same answer. So when I hear from him and he's talking to everybody, I get it. And I will be first to say when the original motion came, I voted against it because I am so tight with money. I thought it was a waste of money. And then when I heard the delegation come and it explained, I'm like, okay, just because I'm not going to use it does not mean we don't need it. And as I've said before, we're not here for what we want. We're not here what for staff want. We are here what the community wants because they're paying the shot. So, and I've always said, I've consistently said that we must be cautious on our spending and focus on our core responsibilities: roads, water, sewer services, waste collection, snow removal, recreation facilities that remain affordable for residents. Physical activity is also essential for all ages, not only for health, but for social well-being. The more active and engaged a community is, the healthier it becomes, which ultimately reduces strain on our already overburdened healthcare system. I have referenced Dr. Kelly Leach's book numerous times, discussing the decline in childhood physical activity and the rising obesity concerns, an emerging epidemic driven by reduced physical and social engagement. We live near a large body of water, and it is critically important that children learn to swim from a young age. Growing up here, one of my classmates, his young brother died, and then a family that actually lived behind us, I used to babysit, the father and two of the children drowned in Pidot because they did not know how to swim. So a public outdoor pool offers that opportunity, especially for families who cannot afford a private pool. I grew up as one of those children. So my mother walked us to the pool every morning for swimming lessons, and we returned every afternoon for recreational swim. It was not only exercise, but an important social environment for the kids. Swimming also remains one of the best low-impact activities for adults trying to stay active. For these reasons, I believe the pool is important to our community, provided it can be delivered at an affordable cost. We have a placeholder for 2029 for an $85 million facility. I think that is totally out of reach. But not only would you be building that, then you got to staff it and you got to maintain it and you got to service it. So I think we have to be very cautious. What we do is affordable for everybody. So a new indoor pool, I know Tilsonburg looked at a quote 2 years ago and it was $22 million. So 5 million to me, and I think there's lots of opportunity to look into, people wanting to donate or, naming, so it could get down to under the 5 million, but is a city of 50,000 people, the idea that a $89, $85 million complex will be built in the near future is simply unrealistic. We have no funds set aside. I mean, the entire cost would fall directly on the tax levy. So I fully appreciate 5 million sounds like a lot of money, but we are short water. We are short for swimming lessons, recreation, and I've heard loud and clear from the public that this is what they want. And as I said, if it was me, I probably wouldn't do it. I'm never going to use it, but this is what the public has said loud and clear that they want.
A seconder, would you like to speak to it? Counselor Sandberg?
I just agree tenfold with what Counselor Tate said.
Anyone else? Counselor Lauder?
Thank you. I will be supporting this motion. The adults in my community, in our area where I'm living, have let me know loud and clear how disappointed that the Lions pool was demolished. I myself cannot swim. Growing up on a farm 14 miles from the city did not give me the opportunity to learn to swim, and how I do miss it. I think every child should be given that opportunity. Number one, for safety, but also for exercise, which nowadays we're hearing that young children are not getting. While at the hospital last week, both the nurse and the doctor reiterated the importance of children learning to swim. The nurse indicated that when she was in grade 5 in Woodstock, all the students went to the Y for swimming lessons. Our city has excellent recreational facilities, but lack the opportunity of an outdoor pool for the summer months, unlike many of the outlying communities around us that have that privilege. This council has been very concerned about accommodating youth This would certainly be an additional facility for our youth and mature citizens all to enjoy. You might say this is a want, not a need. In my opinion, it is a need. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
I won't support the motion as it is now. I would support putting 5 million into 2027. I think it's just a really quick turnaround to get all of this information, look at potential funding, looking at naming rights, all of that within this calendar year. I don't see that happening. I by no means know anything about building aquatic centers or engineering, developing and all of that aspects, but I would be more than happy to approve 5 million being put to 2027 to get all this information. I sat here when we were talking about Lions Pool and asked for support from council to get a further support from council to get a further report on Lions Pool to see what the exact costs were going to be at that time. And that report could have very well dug deeper into where else are the potentials of this going. We already looked at Cowan Fields. That was looked at. It was denied. I didn't get support on that report. I wasn't necessarily completely in favor of watching that pool completely close or seeing everything happen, but I just wasn't in favor of approving where we were at that point. Similar to this, I'm not prepared to put $5 million into this capital budget for 2026. I'd be more than happy to see it go into even 2027 to get this information back, to have a little more solid grounding footings under us before decisions are made.
Thank you. Counselor Tate.
Through the chair, and thank you for your comments. I would be happy to withdraw and redo it as 2027. I agree with you. And as I brought it forward for discussion, so that is really important. And I did talk to some people in the community and asked about the fundraising. And I think if they knew it was in as a placeholder, that we could start that. So I fully appreciate not having it on the tax on 2026. If I could get support for 2027, then we could start the report and then start the fundraising, and then it may not be the 5 million on the taxpayer. So I fully appreciate your comments, and that's why I can change, if you want me just to change the year instead of withdrawing it, is that possible?
Well, that would be up to council if we wanted to consider that a friendly amendment to put in 2027 instead of the 2026 capital budget. Am I correct on that? Okay. Okay, so we do have a recommendation to amend it. So, sorry.
I'll amend it to the 2027 capital budget.
I'm fine with that as well.
Yes. Yes. Yes, so we do need everybody to agree to the amendment, friendly amendment right now. Well, I haven't asked for a seconder, just because he said he would. Yes, I haven't asked for a seconder yet, but I was hoping to have a friendly one, to be honest. That's the only reason. But
I can withdraw the motion and re-enter a motion because we can do a motion from the floor, correct? Okay, so I will withdraw my motion. And from the floor, I will do a new motion.
Counselor Schattenberg, you do have to agree to the withdrawal as seconder.
Sure, that's fine. We'll withdraw it. Yeah.
Okay, so the motion is
Withdrawn.
withdrawn. We have a new motion coming to the floor. Counselor Tate.
The Woodstock City Council approved the addition of 5 million in the 2027 capital budget for the construction of a new outdoor pool to be financed by debenture, and for that staff be directed to prepare a report outlining options for location of the new outdoor pool with estimated costs for each option and potential financing sources to reduce the approved debenture financing.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a seconder? Counselor Schattenberg, discussion? Counselor Tate.
I'm not gonna really add much other than, once again, I appreciate the discussion. That's why I brought it forward. And I think it's, so the reason I brought up the asset management, we haven't been looking after what we have. So I can't see us anytime soon spending $22 million on a new indoor pool, because we need to be looking after what we have. So I think it's very fiscally responsible. We get the water, but we're doing it at a cost that we can afford, and it's not going to be a huge maintenance like a large facility would be.
Okay, thank you. As seconder, would you like to speak to that at all? Counselor Shanberg? Okay, Counselor Leatherborough?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, my 2 cents is I think that's a bold statement to say that we're not looking after what we have, because that is also how Quiet Lions Pool debacle started, was that it was neglected and it wasn't invested in. So back to what's on the floor, I'm still torn because through you, Mr. Mayor, to the CAO, I think that there's also a lot of people that are looking towards that future rec facility and multiple ice pads and basketball courts, and shall I say childcare, which was a policy that was hardly squeaked through this council, which is incredibly important to people. So when we're looking at dollars and cents in the future and to kind of, say, oh, it's so far away, it's never going to happen. We've just looked at nothing but bookmarks for the last hour. I'm just really concerned with giving false hope and how that reflects in a multi-rec facility that needs funding, that needs us to get in front of different ministers and levels of government to ask for money. And I'm trying to build my question to you, but I'm just very concerned with an outdoor pool discussion again when we have this future rec center that, again, in the next term of council is absolutely going to be making big decisions about that in pieces or all of it at once, but it's critical for our future. So how would $5 million or more slow that larger project in the forecasted plan?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Through to Councillor Leatherbarrow. Ooh, maybe let me start by the remarks about our stewardship of our recreation assets. Yes, the asset management plan is going to identify some of our facilities as being poor and very poor. And easy to pick the Lions Pool and the Civic Center Arena as 2 examples of facilities that would be the majority of that value of assets that are in those categories. Each of those facilities are 70 plus years old. It doesn't matter how much you take care of a recreation asset, they all have a life. And they all eventually end that life. Our Perry Street Arena is an example. Our downtown arena, it ran its life and more. And it ultimately needed to be demolished, and it was replaced by our community complex. So when it comes to facilities, you will always have circumstances where, yes, we are bleeding the facilities to the last little bit of life that we can out of them, and then waiting for that next event to happen where it just doesn't make sense to continue on, and we need to move forward. Yes, we do have a placeholder in for the new community complex, the North Woodstock Community Facility. Funds were approved in the 2025 capital budget to begin the preliminary design of that facility. That is one of the projects that is in that capital carryover report. The architect has been hired, and that preliminary design will begin shortly. It'll be a 4 to 6 month exercise of of putting together floor plans and building elevations to identify what that facility can look like. We know what the components are. It came out of the rec facility master plan. We have an ice crisis. We understand that we are likely short half a pool. And this is some of the difficulties that Woodstock faces right now with its awkward size. We can justify half a pool. We can justify half of a third fire hall. We can justify part of a library expansion. But you can't justify an entire in each of them. And it's up to this council to make the decisions as to what point in time do we introduce these new extras into the community? Because we won't be waiting until they're fully justified. You will introduce them at various points, and it comes down to community priorities. I don't know if I've answered your question at this point, but I think I'm running out of.
Okay, Counselor Martin.
Thank you. I'm still a little bit uncomfortable on the $5 million price tag. First of all, $5 million was a dollar amount we were talking about a number of years ago. It was actually 5.3, if I recall, back in 2023. And I don't know if 5 million is enough today or in 2027, but we're talking about this as a placeholder, so that probably doesn't matter as much. But if it is $5 million, and yes, we might be able to fundraise some of that in sponsorship and others, but if 5 million is the amount that we debenture, this is the challenge of passing a capital budget separate from an operating budget, because the amount of interest that we would pay on that in the early years would be about $200,000 a year just in interest if we debentured 20 years at 4.5%, which are our current numbers. $200,000, that would end up on the levy. Well, so would the principal. So principal would be about $250,000 a year, plus that $200,000 in the early years in interest that eventually slows down. My bigger concern is we do have that placeholder of we're planning towards that multi-use community facility at Cowan Field that we're already doing some design work. And I've only been a part of some of the advocacy work with provincial and federal governments, but I know that we've really made some headway on advocacy work towards provincial and or federal funding to enhance what would be, municipal funding towards that, again, placeholder $85 million project. And my fear is that this $5 million outdoor pool might undermine that ask. And so for that reason, it makes me uncomfortable to approve this project at this time.
Counselor Tate.
Comments, and it wasn't a bold statement. As I said, the asset management report is right in front of us. So when we know we've got a problem with Southside Pool, we're finally fixing it. The roof's been leaking at all kinds of facilities, so we have to maintain what we have. We're a city of 50,000 people. There is no way in 4 years we are building an $89 million facility that we have put no money away for. So we're not giving the people false hope, because they would flip out if we would do that. We don't have the capacity. And if anybody's paying attention to growth, it's stopped. All the growth has stopped. So we need to be as fiscally responsible as we can. And as I said, the residents are looking for us for core delivery of services. Recreational, yes, but it's got to be at affordable. And waiting, I don't know, 5-6 years to do a $22 million indoor pool is not fiscally responsible, nor is it fair to the citizens. So I don't even know when it would be built. Yes, maybe an ice pad will be built in 10 years, but we're 50,000 people. Where's the money coming from? And I have to remind council, that original complex, it was started from 6 residents in the city. It was community driven. They did all the work and they fundraised almost half of the money before it was started. We're talking about an 89 million facility. We don't have any buy-in from the public because they think that the money's just gonna come like this. We have to have buy-in, and we have buy-in for an outdoor pool. I think that the community has been loud and clear about that. And as I said, I'm tight with money, so originally when it came, I voted against it. But my job is to listen to the taxpayers and what they want at an affordable price for their services. So that's why I made the comments, and I am concerned we haven't maintained. I'll be the first one to say, sure, the facilities are 70 years old, so's the building. It's not falling down. We should have maintained some of the stuff we had, but we didn't. So I'm concerned, we're gonna talk about building another $89 million building when we've got facilities we need to maintain. And once you build these great big facilities, where do you get the staff and the operating costs? An outdoor pool, the operating is a quarter of what you would have. So I just think it's really responsible to the taxpayers and to the people of Woodstock.
Thank you. Councillor Lauder.
I was looking at the budgets and on page 51 of the budget, the final capital budget, there is an amount of the 85 million for the Cowan Fields Community Center, 23 million, which now we brought down to 10 million for the City Hall expansion, 2.7 million for phase 4 of the downtown streetscape, and 1.2 million equipment wash bay, all financed by debentures in 2029, with another 9.5 million in 2030. Are we being fiscally responsible with these figures? That's all my comment.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, I don't mind saying I was not going to support the 2026 motion. I had no intentions. Again, this is a need budget cycle, in my opinion, more so than ever. I am going to vote in favor of a 2027 motion that is going to give the placeholder effect of keeping it there, because I have a hope that an outdoor pool could actually lessen the load of a future rec center, and we wouldn't need to spend 20 million plus on another indoor pool if we had an outdoor pool. That could be the buffer that the CAO was mentioning, where we don't have the population to fully support. So I am going to support a 2027 motion. Thank you, Councillor Wismer Van Meer, for mentioning that. That's what I've got here in my notes. And Councillor Tate for making the change on the floor. I will, again, support the idea of an outdoor pool. I don't want to get necessarily everyone's hopes up again, because I understand 2 years ago, that's what happened. So I apologize now to anybody. Let's be clear. This will be a next council final decision at budget time, but I am going to vote in favor of it right now as a placeholder point and look at what it could save us ultimately, because I do fully support a new rec center sooner than later. And if that changes from 85 million now to 50 or 60, all the better could be, and we have the outdoor swimming. So with that, anyone else before I call the vote? I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried 5-2. Next up, Councillor Lauder, Downtown Revitalization Phase 5.
Thank you. I'll move that Woodstock City Council remove 5,500,000 in 2030 from project INF 00138 Downtown Revitalization that supports Phase 5 of the Streetscape Master Plan.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Counselor Shattenberg. Discussion. Counselor Lauder, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you. I cannot support 5.5 million on the final phase of the street construction in this revitalization. Almost every time I am out, people are commenting on what is being spent on these 5 phases, especially when the street had been done only a few years ago. And this is all being debentured. Again, while at the hospital, I was told in so many words, the entire project was unnecessary. I do want you to know, I did not raise the topic. They seem to know my name and I did not know theirs. We hear all the time about our excessive high taxes. People can't afford the taxes as they keep going up. The delegation at the county council yesterday meeting certainly spoke to that. People are having a hard time providing a roof over their head, food, and everyday need. This is a want, not a need. Thank you.
Thank you. As seconder, Counselor Shattenberg, would you like to speak to it?
Yeah, certainly. The one thing that was noted in the asset management plan, which again, I've stated earlier in this council meeting, to me, far outweighs the strategic plan. The city has 222 kilometers of paved roads with a replacement cost of $288 million. And that's on page 31 of the asset management plan. But 40% of those, a total 40% of them, are either listed as being 13% fair, 11% poor, and 16% critical. Some of them on the list, including Victoria Street South, which we're finally doing in 2026 because that's on the approved budget and no one's brought it up as something to be changed. But there's a section of Delater Street between Ingersoll Ave and Brant and Winnett Street and other areas that really date back to about 1905, if not earlier, as far as part of the infrastructure goes. So I have always said that those are the top priorities over phase 5 and phase 4, most certainly in the downtown streetscape plan of projects that do not simply have to be done whatsoever. So I would always continue to approve asset management plan improvement, which is the roads and the infrastructure of the city of Woodstock, to improve those percentages than I ever would for a phase 4, or in this case, phase 5.
Thank you. Counselor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. Councillor Lauder, you mentioned yesterday's delegation at the county who was looking for a 0% increase in taxes. And yet we just passed a motion that if that outdoor pool is built, will immediately add $200,000 to the levy in 2027. So immediately starting out of the gate on a motion we just passed, we are above 0%. So I recognize the goal of what you're trying to get to, but again, this is a placeholder for 2020, 2030, thank you. That's even 2 terms of council potentially away that would be looking at this. So, or is it the end of the next term? Yeah, anyway, doesn't matter. So I'm not going to support the motion. I think there will be many years of debate and other phases before we get to this one. So for that reason, I won't be supporting it.
Thank you. Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Through your worship, and just a general comment, and I respect every person that sits around this circle's opinions and views, and we all talk to different people on different aspects. And yes, I've had people that are, like you said, Councillor Lauder, not in favor of streetscape, but to say wants versus needs is really impossible, because when I spoke to somebody who has accessibility restrictions, and one of the first things they said to me was, nobody understands how much of a need this actually was until they've had lived experience. So for myself, I don't necessarily understand that. When I'm getting out of my car, I can step up on that curb and get onto the sidewalk with no restrictions. But for some folks, those rolled curbs suddenly make it completely accessible for them, instead of having to drive all the way down a block to find an accessible parking spot, or going to the back to find accessible parking in our parking lot. So, it's really tough for us to say what are wants versus needs as councillors when we can't speak for every single person on every single topic. But like Councillor Martin just said, this is just holding that place. Somebody else can more than likely going to be making these decisions over myself. But we really need to be careful when we're saying wants versus needs and what we need and what we don't need. I think that we just have to take all aspects of what our community faces into consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, I will not be supporting this motion for similar reasons as the others. It is a placeholder. I think it's important that a future council has somewhere to go. Certainly is no spending. By removing this right now, there's absolutely no reduction in taxes today. I think keeping it in mind, keeping it in the budget, seeing all the asks is important. Councillor Lauder, you mentioned how much is being asked in the future, and I would fully expect that future council will take a look at that and decide the priorities at that time. Right now, taxpayers expect government to tighten its belt when families are being forced to do the same thing. Who knows what the future holds? I would not certainly, even though I've been a big supporter of the downtown streetscape, I would probably not approve this if it was next year, based on the dollar amount. But I don't want to say that future councils won't have that opportunity. So for that reason, I will not be supporting it. Councillor Lauder.
So I have not supported this, as you know, all along. And so this is something that I can't support. And I'm just telling you that I'm not supporting it and why I'm not supporting it. So that's what I put my motion forward for.
And just to respond to that, I certainly appreciate that and respect it. So thank you. You've been consistent all the way along. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? Against? Motion failed 4-2. Oh, where are we now? I guess that's it. Final motion. Looking for a final motion from council. Councillor Martin.
That in accordance with section 284-16(3) of the Municipal Act 2021 and section 7, bracket 4 of Reg 530/22, Woodstock City Council shortens the amendment period for the 2026 capital budget from the prescribed 30-day period to 23 days.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Wismer Van Meer. Discussion? Councillor Tate.
Through the chair, there was one item in the capital budget, a couple of people asked me about. So I asked the director if he could comment. I guess it was in the paper, something about the Southside Park expansion. If you can just explain it to the public so they're aware and that the money is coming out of reserves. So I think people are confused. They saw Southside Park expansion. So somebody said, are you supporting it? And I said, well, we already started it.
Your worship, through to the councilor's question. Yes, the money has been coming out of reserves, and basically the next step, the next phase we're looking at is basically phase 1 of the paved trail. And this is to double almost the size of Southside Park. So this trail system, there'll be a trail system, community gardens, another park entrance, and some parking in this phase. And this will be to connect the old golf course area and Southside Park.
Continue.
So just my final comment on this budget process, and because we have so much of our staff here, we have to really appreciate the staff that we have and that we didn't have to go through it and take out a lot of stuff because our staff is so lean and I appreciate all the work that they do because most of our staff do the work of two people. We all know that. And our senior staff put in so many hours of overtime that they don't get paid for or acknowledged. So, as a counselor, I really appreciate all your work and greatly appreciate the budget process at the City of Woodstock.
Certainly gonna echo those comments. They're in my closing comments. I won't do it again, but we really do appreciate what staff go through. I truly believe that we run a lean operation on purpose, recognizing the fiscal responsibility governments have, especially these days, but just know it doesn't go unnoticed. Counselor Martin.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be brief. We've made a number of motions here tonight, but just very rough rounding. We've really, I think we've amended the 2026 capital budget by about $270,000, lowered it without adding new into it. So my rough numbers is that this is about a $29.4 million capital budget. 3.3 million is going to be issued in debt or a debenture. 4.5 million-ish will be will show up as taxation, with the remaining 21 million coming from reserves, which is essentially other previous year's taxes. So it's a good blend of how we're financing this. But even 7 of us taking a look at this budget, we've really only been able to move it, to wiggle it out of $29 million. We've really only been able to wiggle about $270,000 because it's just that complicated to still deliver the services that this city needs while being fiscally responsible.
Sorry, Counselor Martin, I was just confirming that was the amount, about 29 million. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I actually thought it was 32. That's why I was questioning it. I don't know where I got 32 from.
Sorry, I got my numbers off of page 51. There is a running total of the whole, each category. So 3.3 plus 4.5 plus 21.5. That's what I added up.
Yep, thank you very much. Yep. Anyone else? Counselor Schattenberg.
Just want to add a line about the fiscal responsibility and our great staff that we have at the City of Woodstock, especially senior staff, because it becomes very difficult. I'll be the first one to admit it, that it seems like after 7 years of being on council, it seems like we're always approving our operating budget and certainly our capital budget after it's already been approved with the budget across the street at the county, which makes our job even that much more difficult, because if certain areas have been spent higher than possibly should be across the street, then all of a sudden we're taxed with the idea of going even tighter on our dollars and cents as to what makes a viable projects for the city of Woodstock.
Thank you. Anyone else before I call the vote? So I'm just gonna, again, make a comment. We're gonna be describing it to the 23-day period. I'll be reading something next. Certainly have no intentions of using any strong mayors or anything else on this. So with that, I'll call a vote. All those in favor? That is carried, unanimous. So again, no intentions to veto. If no further amendments are proposed, I have a mayor's direction here that I will sign, providing notice of my intention not to veto any amendments made to the 2026 capital budget. This will be sent to the clerk and council and posted on the website as required by legislation. As such, the 2026 capital budget as amended is deemed adopted. And thank you for all your work, council and staff. So continuing on, now we're not done yet. Engineering, 14B1, replacement of municipal code, maintenance and occupancy standards. Looking for a motion. Councillor Lauder.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council refer the report regarding replacement of Municipal Code Chapter 0745, maintenance occupancy standards to the bylaw section of the agenda.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Counselor Tate, discussion or questions? Counselor Shanberg?
Yeah, I realize we've been here for quite a while already, but if it's all right with the mayor, if I could ask Mr. Miller to come forward, who's published this report to update, in essence, what's quite a series of bylaws within the city of Woodstock. And sometimes it's a matter of cleaning up the paperwork a little bit to make things a little bit more modern up to 2025. But there are certainly some things that have to be, as I say, spruced up, for lack of a better term.
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Miller, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, members of council. Sorry, was there a question?
Just generally, Mr. Miller, an overview as to what necessitated this upgrade to, and specifically to the downtown, this first motion.
Yes, and thank you for the question through you, Mr. Mayor. This initiative was part of Council's 2023 strategic priority action items. Section 7, enhance vibrancy of the downtown core, and 7.1, update the property standards bylaw. So when you start to look at the property standards bylaw, you kind of have to look at both of them together. They work synergistically. So we have two bylaws up before you today. Replacement of Chapter 771, yards, lots, clearing. That bylaw essentially regulates what can be stored on property. Property standards bylaw typically deals with like minimum maintenance standards for buildings and structures within the city of Woodstock. So both of those bylaws were amended and replaced with updated versions. And we made some changes that made the bylaws work a little bit better.
Thank you. Counselor Shanberg?
I guess maybe as a follow-up question, or maybe it's a statement you can make a reply to it. The Woodstock Environment Advisory Committee that both myself and Councilor Leatherborough sit on had, it's not contentious, might not be the right word, but in a day and age where people are trying to have more natural gardens and areas like that, to be able to sort of think, well, are the rules too tight within the city of Woodstock about the height of grasses, for example, as to what's properly maintained and what's not necessarily properly maintained? And who is to define what is correct and what is wrong as far as what's not necessarily a safety standard, but the correct standard on a municipal property?
Thank you for the question, and through you, Mr. Mayor. There is a provision in the proposed bylaw, section 77154, that exempts properties that have undergone naturalization plan on privately owned property from the provisions of the long grass and weeds provision, which would be 7713. So there is an exemption in there where there's approval and naturalization plan by the City of Woodstock Parks and Recreation Department.
Thank you. Anyone else? I got the thumbs up from Counselor Shanberg, so he's good. Anyone else? I don't have any on this one. Think you might want to stick around for a second though, if you don't mind. I'll call the vote. If no further questions or comments, seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. Next up, we have, yeah, because you're up here, I will. 14B2, replacement of municipal code chapter for yards, lots, and clearing. Looking for a motion, Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I move that Woodstock City Council refer the report regarding replacement of Municipal Code Chapter 0771 yards, lots, clearing to the bylaw section of the agenda, and further that Woodstock City Council authorize staff to make the necessary application to the Ministry of the Attorney General to seek approval for the proposed short form wording and set fines changes associated with Municipal Code Chapter 0771 property lot maintenance.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Shanberg, discussion or questions? Seeing as bylaws here? Seeing none? We'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. Thank you.
Worship. Thank you, members.
Before we move on, I just want to throw it out there. We're 3 hours in. Does anyone need a 10-minute break, recess? Or are we gonna continue on? Yeah, that's fine with me too, as long as staff here are okay with that, though. Yeah, a little harder for them, so, yeah. I don't want to point at anyone, but no, sorry, I'm just. We're okay? All right, we'll move on. 14B3 is museum elevator repairs. Looking for a motion. Counselor Schadenberg.
That Woodstock City Council allocates the remaining funds from project 11123, the museum cupola restoration, to fund the museum elevator repairs. And further, that the city council authorizes contracting Otis Canada to complete the repair work.
Looking for a seconder, Counselor Tate. Discussion or questions?
Yeah, I'm not sure if Karen Houston would be the best person to answer this question from the museum, or if others might be able to answer it, maybe from engineering, but is there enough money in the account to be able to do the repair work on the elevator?
I believe that was in the report, Counselor Schadenberg, that there was. Sorry, but I think I can answer that one. So unless I'm wrong, I'm looking at staff, okay. Any other questions? Counselor Martin?
I'm not sure if it's a question or a comment, but the report indicates that 98,700 is needed, but there's 248,464 remaining from that cupola restoration, which was a number of years ago, if I recall. And then the report also says that the funds were set to be released back to reserves at the end of 2026, which is still another year away. Can we not add to this motion to release those reserves back now and free them up? Is there a reason to keep them in that account for another full year?
Your worship, through to Councillor Martin, Treasury will go through and harvest once the projects are complete, they will harvest the unspent funds and return it back to its host source of funding. So that happens from time to time. This particular cupola project was recent, though. It was not from several years ago. We got a remarkable price on that project. It was a lot less than was estimated. This particular work was deemed to be an emergency repair because it affects the accessibility to that facility. And so it was acted on. And so under the procurement bylaw, under an emergency repair, we're to report to council at the soonest opportunity to obtain your approval.
I'm not questioning the emergency repair. I thought the cupola was, there was scaffolding and it wasn't 2025. Was that just this summer? It's 2 years.
It's been a year and a half. I would say a year and a half.
Okay.
2 years? Okay, 2 summer project. The engineer is saying. It was this past year, sorry.
The scaffolding was in Museum Square this time last year, and it was an impediment to the winter lighting up festival.
Yeah. Anyone else? Time flies. It does. Seeing no one else, I'll call a vote. All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. Next up, we have cash in lieu for parking applications. Looking for a motion? Counselor Leatherborough?
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council authorizes the mayor and city clerk to sign the required agreements with the registered owner of the properties to provide the relief of 10 parking spaces at 366 to 376 Simcoe Street and 361 Simcoe Street.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Counselor Martin, discussion or questions? Looks like there might be a question forming or no? Sorry. Okay, I just wanted to be clear. Okay. Last chance before I call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. Thank you. Next up, we have amendments to traffic bylaw 8021-04, looking for a motion. Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
I move that Woodstock City Council refer the amendments to traffic bylaw number 8021-04 outlined in the report to the bylaw section of the agenda.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder. Counselor Lauder, discussion or questions? Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
I'm going to keep this very brief because it's been a long night, but just the two always stops that are being, that are proposed in this. I want to thank staff for addressing these so quickly. We had a resident reaching out to, I think, a number of us counselors about the one up Branch in Victoria being right by a school. There was a lot of concerns, and there had been, I think in the span of about a month, maybe 2 months, there had been 3 or 4 accidents there that they had spoken to. I drive Clark and Warwick every single day going to and from work, and that I get so nervous every time. I've seen so many near misses of, you know, young kids trying to pass there or trying to cross and just people not always paying attention. So to me, these are two always stops that are extremely important to have in our community. And for folks that are curious to what's all in there, it's all in the report as to what the changes would be.
Yes, for sure. And then go to page 80 if they really want to bypass, because tonight's agenda is quite full. Counselor Tate.
Yes, just through the chair, I want to thank our staff because this is one of their jobs that they do. And we didn't have to hire another $100,000 employee to do it because this is actually part of your job. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Sandberg.
Yeah, I just think it's important for anyone in the city of Woodstock to be able to look at this list and see if it affects their street. For example, I have a lot of discussion with people that live in the corner of Oxford and Drew Street because of the apartment building that was built literally across where the old rectory used to be for St. Mary's Church. So that is changing now to both sides of Drew Street will be no parking between Winnett and Oxford, just that one block.
Thank you. Anyone else? I just want to recognize, again, staff and their work. They do follow up. If residents send a message to any of us and we forward it along, it kind of seems to go in a file and at some point it seems to be concerns, and this is the way we address them on a very regular basis. And I thank staff for doing that proactively as needed. Again, a 4-way stop at Brant, Victoria, as well as Clark and Warwick is needed. And nice to see it being done potentially tonight. Anyone else before I call a vote? All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. Again, those at home, please, page 80, and you'll see all the amendments being made around the city. Nothing from cultural services. Parks and Rec, Economic Development does have a final payment for purchase of 478, 484 Dundas Street. Looking for a motion? Counselor Lauder.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council provide pre-budget approval for 125,000 contribution to the reserve for capital projects, and further that 250,000, excuse me, be approved from the reserve for capital project to be used for the final payment for the purchase of 478, 484 Dundas Street.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder? Counselor Tate, discussion or questions? Seeing one, Counselor Martin.
Sorry, not that we haven't been here long enough, but is it pre-budget approval or post-budget approval? It's pre-budget approval.
Pre-March.
But this is a capital. It's coming out of it's a one-time expense out of a capital projects reserve, and it's to be allocated to the operating budget?
Your worship, through to Councillor Martin, City Council raised the first half, the 125,000 in the 2025 budget. So what we're seeking is pre-budget approval to raise the second half, 125,000 in the 2026 budget, and to obtain in the operating budget, and have council approval to disperse those funds in January of 2026 as contractually required.
I understand. I just, to me, this was a capital, it felt and looks more like a capital purchase rather than an operating, budget purchase to me, but it doesn't matter. I just, as I was reading it, I just thought, you know, if this would have gotten into the capital budget a few days earlier, it would have been a capital budget.
Okay. No arguments. Anyone else? I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. From the clerks confirming bylaw 2025, Looking for a motion? Counselor Wismer Van Meer,
I move that Woodstock City Council refer the confirming bylaw to the bylaw section of the agenda.
seconded by Counselor Lauder. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is carried, none opposed. 14F2, 2025 Annual Status Report of the Accessibility Plan for 2023 to 2027. Looking for a motion? 14F.2. Counselor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council approve the 2025 annual status report of the 2023 to 2027 accessibility plan.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Counselor Wismer Van Meer. Discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. From the Chief Administrative Officer, 14G.1, pre-budget approval for the 125th Anniversary Initiative. Counselor Tate?
I'll move that Woodstock City Council approve option 2 for Woodstock's 125th anniversary initiatives to be funded through the interest accrued on the slot machine reserve fund.
Thank you. Seconded by Counselor Lauder. Discussion, Counselor Tate?
Through the chair, just a comment, I think for the extra little bit amount of money that we should do all we can to celebrate the 125th. So I really appreciate staff's list of initiatives that they're going to do to help celebrate for the citizens.
Thank you. I agree. Counselor Lauder?
I totally agree with it. So I'm looking forward to next year. Sounds like a great year for celebration.
Yes. Counselor Schadenberg?
Just want to let everyone know I wasn't here in 1901 when Woodstock became a city.
I'm glad you clarified that because I was questioning it. Yes, July 1st, 1901, Woodstock became the city of Woodstock. So hard to believe. 125 years, something to celebrate. Counselor Martin?
I'm glad that the funding was able to come from the slot machine reserve fund, just knowing, like, if it would have been a levy cost, that just would have been a really difficult ask to ask people to support, but I'm pleased that funding source was identified.
Yes, and for those watching, again, to be clear, it's not on the tax levy. It is coming out of those funds. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. And excited to see what staff come up with to celebrate. Nothing from human resources, fire services, but we do have public works, solid waste services, follow-up on curbside collection changes. Counselor Martin? Sorry, I think I saw her hand first.
No, you
that's all.
go. No, you.
Yeah,
That Woodstock City
the
Council.
Canadian way.
That Woodstock City Council authorized the the discontinuation of residential recycle convenience depot at the Enviro Depot, and further that staff time at the Enviro Depot be reallocated to other service areas and hours of service be reviewed in 2026.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Leatherborough. Discussion or questions? Councillor Martin.
Well, I'm sure that Jeff would love to speak to this because there is a lot in this report. There's a lot of things changing. And I even think that since you wrote this report, a few things have changed. So the floor is yours.
Shall I call for a break first or no? Yeah.
Through you, Mayor, and yes, thank you for the opportunity to speak to the report. And certainly there have been updates since the report was published. But first, primarily, the report was intended to communicate schedule and zone changes that are forthcoming, in addition to the recommendations for the Enviro Depot. Since the time of publishing the report, though, we have confirmed with Circular Materials that our recycling schedule will align with what we have for garbage and recycling. So that is certainly good news that we've been waiting for quite some time, and happy to receive that last week. Just in terms of what's included in the report for the schedule changes. So there's what's already been pre-communicated in terms of the 6-day rotation, and there's just information within the report to be specific about zones and locations. So that's outlined within the report. And then the other recommendation that comes out of the Enviro Depot piece. So with the changes with recycling to circular materials, we really don't have an opportunity for the market anymore with the curbside recycling for residential. So from our perspective, and trying to operate that at the Enviro Depot is just not a feasible option. We just don't have the market and as well to look at our operations in terms of the hours of service. That's something that we see as a benefit in 2026. However, we don't have a lot of time to sort that out through the course of this reporting. So we just wanted to make sure that that was in front of council for future, and just to review, considering that the changes at the Enviro Depot with the curbside recycling, as well as we will no longer accept styrofoam as well. So those are some pieces that there's small programs that we run at the Enviro Depot. We will still have an open depot, and we will still run the other programs. It's just the recycling piece for curbside.
You summarized that quite well, actually. Any other questions? Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Just to staff, and to all those who worked on this, I'm so excited. We're getting weekly recycling pickup. I've wanted that for so long. I put way more recycling out. 6-day cycle. I know people are getting pretty anxious about it, but I think there's a lot of miscommunication, misunderstanding. People just need to read these reports, understand this is a provincial change. This is not a municipal change of recycling. I've seen a lot of people talking about the green bins and how they think it's a waste of money. I think it saves you money if you really understand how green bins work and you're not putting as much into waste. You just read the information. You don't have to use a green bin if you don't want to. That is your prerogative to do that. It's just saving space in our landfills and saving you space in your garbage. But that's why these reports are done, to really help people understand the schedules there for the entire year, so you can have a look at it, put it in your calendar now, and you know what's going on.
Yes. Again, well said. Anyone else? I'm just going to echo what you said there. I mean, please, please, please take a look at the schedule. Things are going to change. There's no two ways about it. Going to a 6-day for the city of Woodstock is a change. We're matching up to what the rest of the county is at. So it's been done for a very long time. Again, with the changes, all of it being picked up on the same day was my biggest concern. And thankfully, we've finally got confirmation that at least it's going to be one consistent day, one day to mark in your calendar and go. So please go to the Wasteline app, put yourself in there. Now that they're matching, you only need one app as a reminder. It's garbage recycling and organics day. Anyone else before I call a vote? All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. Thank you again for staff. Nothing from IT. Special committees, we've done that already. Notice of motions, no notice of motions that I'm aware of. No new business, and that brings us to draft bylaws. Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Lauder, that the following bylaws be given a first and second reading. 9789-25, a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy. 9790-25, a bylaw to authorize the borrowing of $5 million. 9791-25, a bylaw to repeal and replace the City of Woodstock Municipal Code Chapter 0745 Maintenance Occupancy Standards. 9792-25, a bylaw to appoint the deputy clerk as a returning officer for the 2026 municipal election. 979325, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 8626-10 as amended, ZN 8-25-15, 74, that's a lot of numbers, 745314 and 745364 Oxford Road 17. 979425, a bylaw to repeal and replace the City of Woodstock Municipal Code Chapter 0771, yards, lots, clearing. 9795-25, a bylaw to amend traffic bylaw 8021-04 as amended. And 9796-25, a bylaw to adopt and confirm all actions and proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the City of Woodstock during the period December 12th, 2024 to December 11th, 2025.
Thank you, and I missed who you said seconded. Sorry, Counselor Lauder, thank you. Any questions or concerns with those? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Lauder, that the following bylaws be given a third and final reading. 9789-25 through to 9796-25.
Inclusive. That okay, clerk? Yes. Any final thoughts or concerns on those before I call the vote? All those in favor? That is carried, none opposed. And that brings us to questions and addresses from council. Let's start with Councillor Leatherborough.
Happy holidays, everybody. And starting tomorrow, Friday, December 12th and the 19th, and then Saturday, the 13th and 20th, you can check out the BIA's website, but there's a lot of activities for Christmas downtown. And I hope everybody gets a lot of rest and stays healthy and eats lots of food and is very jolly.
Thank you. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. I just want to send out a big thanks to all the staff in preparing the budget and getting through it. It's, they've been working on it a long time and still have the big one to go yet. So, and thank you staff for the snow clearing. I know that people like all their streets clear immediately during a snowstorm almost. And so thanks to all of that. And I'm excited about that new garbage collection, which I think our area is the first to have it. And I don't have to get up 3 mornings. I thought I was going to have to do that and put out something. And so this one day thing is really suits me fine. So, and I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and the best of the season to all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Just want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, however you'll be celebrating. Knocking on wood, last year was a COVID Christmas for me, so I tested positive on Christmas Eve, so that's how I spend my holidays. So I'm hoping that that bug in November is what's done, but I hope everyone can celebrate in whatever way they want to, and just check in on people and think of those who can use your support during this time of the season, and help your neighbors shovel their sidewalks, their driveways, you know, the best that you can. I think that it goes a long way, just a little bit of kindness, because there's just way too much negativity in the world right now. We just need more kindness. So happy holidays. We'll see you all back here in 2026.
Amen. Councillor Martin.
Yeah, thank you. A couple of things. Tomorrow morning, the Woodstock Public Library is hosting the unveiling of the privacy pod. I don't know if that's what it's called. It's a soundproof room within a room that you can book for meetings or studying or whatever. I think it holds about 4 people. So that'll be tomorrow morning. Tonight, I believe, is another cold alert issued by Southwestern Public Health. So human beings, obviously this is important for, but it's also important for pets. Snow removal, it's always the first couple of storms of the season that just brings out people who are shocked that we have to remove snow and that it does take time. I didn't get the name of that was on the side of the truck, but as I was going to get my mail today, a truck came up my street and 4 people got out and shoveled all the way up and down both sides of the street, and then they moved on to the next block. And these are probably, it was a snow removal truck, it was a contracting company, but these are probably people that have been up since 3 o'clock in the morning, removing snow in private properties, and then they still took the time to do a neighborly duty in a neighborhood that has a lot of aging people. It is the city's job to remove snow from the road. And sometimes that does mean that snow ends up in your driveway, but it is the landowner, the homeowner, or landlord's responsibility to remove snow from sidewalks. As these 4 gentlemen were clearing the sidewalk, 2 people were walking up the middle of the street because they couldn't get on the sidewalks. And they're like, what are you doing that for? The city's gonna come around. And I'm like, no, the city's not gonna come around to a side residential street. It is the homeowner's responsibility. Another thing that I just want to mention, as a part of your report, Jeff, that we didn't touch on, bag tags are going up in price in January. We will use fewer bag tags as we use our organic green bin, but your current pink tags do not expire. They're not changing color. They're not going to look any different. So if you've got tags in inventory, use them till they're gone. And Merry Christmas.
Yes, I gotta say, I've been asked that more times this week than probably the last month combined about bag tags. Yes, you can buy bag tags now, and they're not gonna go obsolete. You can use them.
You can actually even order them online through the county. You can order them and they come in your mailbox.
Counselor Shan, I picked some up. I will admit, they're at the counter. You can get them now. They've got lots. Counselor Schanberg.
I guess start off with a couple congratulations. First, want to congratulate Jeff Bunn on becoming our returning officer for the city of Woodstock, our deputy clerk, and he'll be looking forward to that. And Amy Humphreys, I'm sure, will assist along the way, our clerk. I want to congratulate Jordan Teagues of Woodstock. He's a Huron Park Secondary School grad. He's 38 years old. He's been dedicating his life to playing baseball as a Woodstock minor ball grad. He's now the pitching coach for the Texas Rangers, not an assistant pitching coach. He's the pitching coach for the Texas Rangers, Major League Baseball. He moved up through the ranks from minor league pitching instructor to the Texas Rangers bullpen coach. And he was way back 2006, was a Cincinnati Reds draft choice. So congratulations to Jordan Teagues from Woodstock. Reminder, the WCI Red players have a show called Time After Time that continues. It's based, I guess, basically on Hollywood and Broadway musicals. So it's a musical review. The shows continue Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 7 p.m. And there's also a show on Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock at WCI. Tickets are $25. So if you like music from The Sound of Music to Wicked to The Greatest Showman, The Guys and Dolls, The Grease, The Anastasia, and musicals like that, take care and attend that show. Just reminding you can still volunteer for the Salvation Army kettles. Woodstock salvationarmy.ca is a good website to check out. There's 5 locations locally. I'll be doing my duty again on Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 at Sobeys, and I take milk and sweetener in my coffee. Thanks a lot.
I'm gonna try that one. Counselor Tate.
Yes, so just to mention about the library pod, it's donated by Ian McCaskill. He's been very generous in our community. So greatly appreciate that we have people like that in the community. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Another good news story, the Cowan Foundation has donated a one-time donation to the food hub for $15,000. I think they were going to receive it tomorrow, sometime this week. So anyways, the Food Hub people were thrilled. I was happy that they were able to convince them because they don't usually do stuff like that. So great story. Yesterday, I've made reference to it a number of times about the county budget. Thankfully, we had a lot of people in the gallery for a change, just for the public's benefit, because a lot of people aren't paying attention. Please pay attention to what goes on in the county because a lot of your tax dollars are going there. So for reference, when we started this term, there were 627 full-time employees. After yesterday, we're like 725. Their 2024 sunshine list was $22 million. So when we say we really appreciate our staff for what you do with what little that we give you, it is amazing, but I don't think the greater public knows. So I have to give a huge thank you to the mayor and Councillor Galvezi, the mayor in Tilsonburg. All the votes were recorded, so you can go on and see we tried as best as we could, but I think we lost all but 2 votes. So please pay attention. It's really, really important. And just to put it into reference, as Councillor Wismer Van Meer said, give to these organizations that need it. So when you're looking at all the money that was spent across the street and the absolute ridiculous waste of money on salaries, a place like Operation Sharing, the staff make barely $19 an hour and they work crazy hours. And what they have to deal with every day is difficult. So when you think about that, we're going into a Christmas season and how difficult, if you have any extra, please donate to these people because they have a rough go. And I'm sure Councillor Wismer Van Meer sees it with the big boys and big brothers, but Christmas is a perfect opportunity to think about it and give to those that need. Thank you. And once again, our mayor did an amazing job yesterday.
Well, thank you, Councillor Tate. We actually worked on quite a few of those together, so thank you. It's been a long night, so I'm gonna first off say this is the last council meeting for a very important team member. A big thank you to Colleen Collins, our manager of marketing and communications. She has been part of our team for 3 years and has brought so much to that role that it's hard to believe we haven't had it longer. So the Guelph Police are very lucky to have you. Your leadership, your skills running their communication team is very lucky, fortunate to have you. From all of us, staff, council, we wish you the best of luck in your futures. We will miss you, but thank you for everything you've done and got us in a direction that I feel comfortable with. And we've had many discussions on this and really do appreciate everything you've done. So thank you, Colleen. Please, if you see snow, drive slow. I can't stress the importance of just slowing down. The amount of messages I get of complaints because they're sliding into curbs because we don't plow roads. I am getting tired of the argument. It's snowing out. Slow down. If you have a neighbor that needs a hand, please give a hand. I'm going to remind people that we do have a Snow Buddies program. If you need help, there is a program through the city that can get some volunteer students out and shovel your driveway or your sidewalk. So please go to the city website and enroll yourself. If you're following a plow, I witnessed this afternoon. Somebody was trying to pass a plow on Dundas Street and I watched as they got snow all over their windshield. Please don't try to pass snow plows, especially in active snow. Like, I cannot believe that person. I'm sure they were cursing because I was surprised at the amount of snow on that car. Please slow down, give them the space our drivers need. I've been out in the plows, I've been out with them, I've experienced it, and it is very difficult. So even during the day, if you don't have to park in the street, please don't. Pull in a driveway, give them as much room as possible, let them clear off as best as they can. And definitely at night, I fully support tickets at night. If you're in the way and your vehicle needs to be gone around, I had another complaint here an hour and a half, but I don't know, I've lost time. But during our council meeting, that they're bombarded with snow around their vehicle that was parked on the side of the street. Well, unfortunately, it happens this time of year, and I can't stress it enough. Thank you to the staff that works so hard, public works staff that are out there when the rest of us want to be at home, sitting on a couch. They're out there trying to dig us all out. So thank you. Please, Jeff, pass that along to staff. We really do appreciate it. I did get a letter and I wanted to bring it up for council. The Sylvania, our sister city, was here during our Christmas parade, and they actually sent the mayor, Mark Fry, sent a couple of letters. I'm not going to go over as much as I had planned. I want you to know they really appreciate it. They loved coming to the city. We took them curling, and they really, really enjoyed that and appreciate the relationship we've had for over 30 years as a sister city. Last night, I was actually honored to become an honorary member of the Rotary, the Woodstock Oxford Rotary Club. I am still a Lions Club member. I made it clear last night, but I certainly appreciate being an honorary member. I do like to get out there, especially on Saturdays between events. I pop in and help out at the table whenever I can, and certainly support the work they're doing with feeding those that need it here in the community. And I was quite honored last night to accept that honorary member. With that, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Enjoy the time, however you spend it, with your loved ones, your family, your friends. Please remember those that don't have someone. Reach out to them, say hello. This is quite a difficult time for many. I come from a very large family. I'll have a headache by it all, but I'll love every minute. Unfortunately, not everybody is as lucky. So please, please reach out. It was mentioned already to volunteer. The Salvation Army is looking for more volunteers. You can go online, pick a time, put your name in. It's actually quite simple this year. It has changed. And you can plan ahead and go somewhere. They are in desperate need for not only donations, but volunteers to accept those donations. So it doesn't cost anything to offer a couple hours of your time. With that, I'm going to look for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Tate, seconded by Councillor Leatherborough. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. And have a happy New Year. Thanks, everybody. Good night.